Hey, what up, say? One time for the hometown, I got love for it, that's real. Yeah. 2 times for the haters, man, cause I notice how this shit feel. 3 times for my family, dog, cause this shit done paid our bills.
What's up, guys? This is Matt Cotrier with the Matt Cotrier Report, and we are back again with a little more action for you. Today, we have a really special guest today. This is a good friend of mine, an old friend of mine. This is CMO, Corey Driscoll. Man, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, Corey works fine. A lot of people ask me that, whenever I've done a few podcasts or hey, do you want to go by? I'm totally. Corey is very much what I go by these days. You know what I mean?
Well, there was a time, and I want to talk more about this in a little bit, but there was a time when CMO was kind of your preferred.
I don't want to talk about that. No, I'm just
immediately. Oh, by the way, so this is Janae Gaddy, right? She's co-hosting. Y'all know Janae by now.
What's your nickname?
We need a good nickname.
There you go.
Yeah, Janae.
Janae from Forrest Gump.
So before we go any further, let me read a little an ad here, sponsorship. So let's see. So this is the cool thing about it being, we can cut this, me being slow.
I was like,
he'll cut it together.
Can I read it?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, this is what I do for a living.
Dude,
so,
I know.
I love it.
If I can find it.
Watch it be like something like horrible.
Dude, where is
Desiree.
Guns for kids. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not going to work.
Dude, that's hilarious.
He asked to read it.
Like the book club that pulls up to your school, but it's a gun show.
Dude, that'd be so funny.
No ID,
No, it
no
really
license.
wouldn't.
It's so Texas. So
Dude, you got to keep that in here. That's funny. All right, I think I'm
keep it all in. We don't cut anything.
I know, right? Here it is. All right, so you're gonna start.
Let me wet my palate.
I mean, you can say it all except for the headline up there, but yeah, that's Stephen Holster. So this is great. All right, here we go. Corey's going to read our sponsor.
How am I
at
saying
that
this?
one right there?
Holster?
Correct.
For this one right here?
With the red light.
Yeah.
The Matt Cotrier Report is brought to you by our premium sponsor, Stephen Holster, Farm and Ranch Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Holster Ranch Group has you covered. With a dedicated team and a passion for Texas land, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Visit www.holsterranchgroup.com or call 325-899-1403 to get started. Holster Ranch Group, making land ownership dreams come true, 1 acre at a time.
Dude, I can't believe you nailed it on the first try. Because when I tried it, I got to read it, but my first try on air, I messed up the www part. And
you know what's funny? So there's this girl that used to work with me named Ava Cotton, okay?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that I've actually talked to her in recent days because she comes from like California. Yeah. And she was on, there's a show that's on Amazon Prime with Josh Brolin, and it's called Outer Range.
Oh, dude, yes.
You watched this?
Yes.
So she played a nurse on a recent episode, and then at the same time, her and her sister just had an ad go up in all these Sephoras.
Okay.
So one time, she's like walking into the studio as I'm reading something, and I'm like, www.blah-blah-blah.com, and she goes, you know, saying www. Is kind of boomer. I was like, excuse me?
Dang, boomer.
She was like, yeah, you don't have, that's like implied.
Yeah.
Like, we know what goes before.
Yeah.
No one's going to type that part
true.
in because nowadays on web browsers, you could literally just type in whatever.com.
That's been 15 years
so I think
since
that's
we've been able
funny,
to do that.
man. So like now in my commercials and in my live reads, I leave the www.
I do
out.
too.
Just a waste of air.
I learned that. I didn't get called a boomer, but I learned that about 5 years ago. So they were like, why are you doing that? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And so now I don't do that. But still, to be able to see to me, it's a little confusing, that Holster Ranch Group, just at first glance. So that was pretty good. That was close.
You know,
So
man.
good.
I mean, like, I definitely mess up. Like when I read, like, you know, it doesn't happen all the time.
I mean, do you go in there prepped, or do you just do it off like that? I mean, and you might
my
need
radio
a couple
show,
of takes.
or like a commercial,
like a commercial. No, a commercial. Yeah.
No, I pretty much. Okay, so it depends. Like sometimes. Let's back up a little bit. For those of you that don't know, I do radio, right?
Yeah, tell us a little background.
I do radio, and I do commercials and stuff for 106.1 MDX and then Lone Star 92.9, which is our sister station, right? So I have a lot of different things. Sometimes it's a script that I've written, okay?
Oh, okay.
If I've written the script, I don't need to go over it because I've got it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's what you would call like a rip and read, which is basically like this national client, they sent down some paper. We need you to read this and put it behind this bed with this Napa Auto Parts jingle.
Okay.
Free ad, Napa. This Napa jingle or whatever
Yeah.
it is. And then from there, it'll just be approved and go in. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's like the client writing it. So depending on that, like I might have to read through it. It might be like my boss wrote the script and I want to punch it up. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
nice.
Like,
Yeah.
or like change it to make it sound more like
Yes.
my words.
Yeah, I like that. Mhm.
Because there's like a difference in like
For
age
sure.
and deliverance.
I'll
and
tell you
stuff
something
like
about that.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, but I have off days and I have on days. There's some
Yeah.
days where I can't get anything right, and I'm very honest about it. Like I mess up a lot of words on the radio, and if I'm having a day, I'll be like, "Listen, the coffee just hasn't kicked in all the way yet."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just wait until like the second or third hour, and we'll be
Yeah.
breezing right through.
I've heard that.
I've noticed
I've
about
heard
what I've
that.
noticed about you over time is some things that these kinds of things people don't really notice if they're not in the industry or doing this kind of stuff. And so for me, the way I can relate it was when I worked at San Angelo Live, we read the news off a teleprompter, and it was like a monologue. You're sitting there reading, and when I went in to do it, I was confident. I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I do this kind of stuff all the time. Like I've done this kind of thing." But I get up there and I'm reading it, and it just did not come across very good. Like I looked.
You sound like
awkward.
you were reading.
Yes.
Yeah, like a
And so
robot.
what I learned is that there's cadence, there's rhythm, there's inflection. All those things are important, and they're very subtle. So with you in
I feel
particular,
like
what I learned is
didn't you do a piece about this? Like whenever
I
you
think
were
so.
getting
Yeah, I
ready to
did.
transition,
Yeah,
I
that's
think you
right.
did a thing where
That's right,
you were
dude.
full on Mr. Rogers. You were like putting your shoes on, neighbors.
Thanks for remembering, but yeah, I
And you were
did.
talking about like the things that you had learned about like
Yeah.
speaking in public or on a camera
Yes.
or on a microphone isn't quite as easy yet.
Exactly. So for you, what I feel like, and tell me if this is true, but like your cadence has gotten really good. Like I guess you could call it rhythm or cadence of when you're speaking, like you just kind of fall into this. You know what I mean? It's not like stop and start and there's weird pauses. It's just like this really nice. You know
I
what
can
I mean?
rant pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. That definitely. Listen. Everybody that does any kind of public speaking or like long-term speaking or long-form speaking,
Yeah.
you're gonna have your like crutches and stuff. So one of mine is I'll say like you know what I mean a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
for
that
sure.
right there. Right.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
that a lot. So that's a
Right.
crutch that I know I have. But
Yeah.
some of them you're like that's kind of some crutches add to your personality.
Ooh, good
You don't want to
point.
have a lot of uhs and a lot of things like that, but it happens.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing things live. It's
Uh-huh.
better to think through the thought and get the thought out
Yeah.
than to try to force it down the pipe and end
Yeah.
up kind of not really having it flushed out properly.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
for sure. Yeah.
But as far as like cadence and stuff like that, yeah, I definitely think that I feel like I'm hunching over on this, man.
You move it any way you need to,
I
dude. Yeah.
definitely feel that it just comes with like if I were to bring like some stuff from back in the day,
Yeah.
like whenever I first started,
Yeah. I'd be interested
it
to
would
hear that.
sound very different. Like
Yeah,
there's
in what
not
ways?
a lot of. Well, I don't know because I haven't listened to it in a
wanna
long
hear
time.
that, yeah.
I don't know that I haven't. Listen, I'm not saying I have
Yeah.
a bunch of that stuff. I might like somewhere, but
Right.
it would be what's what you call an air check. You know what I mean? So I have some of those from even like the station down the street before I went to the
Okay.
station I'm at now.
Yeah.
And then some from my new station. And then I at a certain point stopped. And I probably should have kept on because the progression
Yeah.
happens. And then like there's also just different things. So when I first started,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing midnight to 6 a.m.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's a really different show than what I'm doing
Yeah.
now, which is noon to 5.
Okay,
But I'm
yeah.
also kind of, I don't know, dude. I hate talking about myself like this. Is kind of weird, but I kind of have my own brand. I've been doing this a long time here, so
absolutely.
like people
100%,
kind of expect to like hear a certain
Yeah.
thing. So whereas most people might be a little bit dialed down noon to 5, I'm
Uh-huh.
really not, man. Like I'll go off if I want
yeah.
to. I used to do a morning show called Mayhem in the AM with my friends Gatlin and Jen on our sister station, Lone
Yeah.
Star 92.9, and that was a completely different style than what I would do on my rap
Right.
station.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that it was more country, but it's more of like it's like this. It's three
Exactly.
people talking
Yes.
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's more of a give and take, and just kind of a different style. So
How long did that last?
God, I don't know. And I left whenever I had my kid.
Oh,
so the
okay.
idea was like I was gonna go and go on paternity leave.
Yeah.
And then I would come back once things got settled.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember that I had my child in June of 2020.
Oh.
It's a rough time to be
yeah.
a new parent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so by the time that things kind of smoothed out,
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking to get up at 5 a.m.
I
anymore.
get it. Yep.
And so I felt kind of bad, but I was like, listen, man, like that's that's an early bed to get up that early. I'm sure that because I'm sure that like in your time with like working out and stuff,
4
a lot
a.m.,
of people
5 a.m. consistently for years.
And that means like a 9 o'clock bedtime.
That's right.
And that means that if the kids like, if I get off at a certain time and I get home and I cook dinner and I do dishes or whatever, my wife and I are doing that stuff. And then the kid might be napping at that point. And then like he wakes up and he's with her, but I'm asleep because I got to, you know what I mean? Like there's just missed
throw
times.
everything off.
So, I mean, it was really fun though. And we had a really great time, man.
That's cool.
We really love that stuff.
Heck yeah. So what do you plan on? I'm curious if you plan on staying in radio for a lot longer. If do you want to go, like, do you want to do anything else with that? Like, are you ramping up to do something different?
Am I just like complacent and stagnant?
Or are you just,
I don't know, man. Like, you know, where I'm at right now, my bills are paid. My kids taken care of, and I have a lot of free time with my kid.
That's cool.
You know, for those of you that don't know, and I don't just like do a radio show. I also am the operations manager. Like I said, I do a lot of production and stuff. These things are very fulfilling to me. This is what I've been into for as long as you've probably known me, is music to some aspect. So even though I'm dealing with short form like commercials, it's still in editing and putting things together and stuff like that. It's very fun for me and fulfilling. As far as like branching into something like this kind of stuff, you know, like I was telling you off camera, part of the reason I haven't done it is because whenever I do try to do it, it tends to be me who's like the backbone of it, and it's something I do for a living 40 hours a week. So like, you know, I don't want to do it in my free time as much, but I'm always happy to do stuff like this. And, you know, I don't know. I've thought about it. I watch a lot of like YouTube. So there's times where I'm like, I can turn on a camera and stream, right? Like,
I've done that a lot.
I'm lucky. Well, the thing about radio is that I am talking into a microphone in a room by myself, and I'm lucky enough that it seems like people are still listening. Like, I mean, I still have people like bring up things that I say, but I don't know whether they're listening or not. And when you're on YouTube, there's like a view count there. So I don't know what that might do to me if I'm like, oh, nobody's watching.
I know, right?
How's that working out for you? No, it's just
I mean, it's hard sometimes.
But like, I don't know that I think that if I did what you did, I don't think I would immediately have the same amount of views and reach that you have.
I don't know, dude.
I think it'd be good. I think that's. I'm sure that I would be good at it, but like, I would be great. I'm sure I'd be fine at it, but it's not about that. It's about like people wanting to tune in or whatever. You know, people in this town are probably kind of sick of hearing my voice after 12 years of talking on the radio.
I don't think that's the case at all. But
I'm just joking.
I think it'd be cool
I'm really
if you did
lucky,
that.
is what it is. I am like absolute not lucky, but blessed. Or
for
like,
sure.
I'm highly favored in the fact that I'm able to do something that I still enjoy a lot.
I know,
and I'm able to feed my kid, and we have a nice house, and you know, I'm here with my family and stuff. But obviously, you know, like as I get closer to like that midlife crisis, as it creeps up,
when is that going to happen? Do you think?
Soon, I would think. I want to know.
Man. Have you had one? Because you're a little older than I am.
Oh, I haven't had one.
I'm just curious if it's coming. Like for me, you know.
I don't know.
I think I had one already.
This is yours.
I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think
you're talking to two puppets and cock-a-doodle doing in the morning. That is the most midlife crisis thing I've ever seen.
Dude, that's so funny. That's gonna be a funny clip, dude. That's true though.
No, man.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, you beat me on that one.
I definitely. So like, you know, another side of my life that some people probably, if you follow me like on Facebook or Instagram, you definitely know, but some people might not know, is that I also play music. You know what I mean? And it's not really music that anybody likes. It's like extreme metal and stuff. But I also play drums. I recently started playing drums. So
a couple of years though now, right?
A couple of years, but still, like compared to like most of my friends, the people who play drums or whatever, like I'm still a baby in this woods, but I'm having a really great time with it. And you know, so because of that, I oftentimes think about what it would be like to live in like an Austin or somewhere like that, where I might be able to like gig 3 times a week and like play drums with like cover bands, make some extra money, and also work out the chops. You know? Because I played guitar in my room by myself for my entire life. But with drums, I suddenly feel like the want to play with other people.
Really? Why is that, you think?
Because the drums are the heartbeat, number one. So like you really feel like you're like you know, a conductor, a center of the band, and playing.
Whoa, that's neat.
But playing with like, you know, playing with like music or whatever can only get you so far. And you just kind of want to feel what it's like to you know, I to be like in that groove.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know,
Oh,
with
yeah.
like a live band.
Wow,
man. So like
yeah.
that's something I've found myself in the late age kind of. That's my midlife crisis. Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I want to be like a touring musician.
Whoa,
Not really touring.
really?
I don't
Would
really
you
want to
though,
tour.
if you could?
I would totally tour.
You would?
Yeah, tomorrow. You want to go?
Dude, I
That
wish.
would be so cool.
Live
I wish.
podcast and a one-man black metal band, baby.
Oh, dude, that's a good name too.
There you go. Yeah, man, I would
Dang.
totally like. I have some, you know, like what you do here, man. And what I really like is that it's like got a very DIY feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's like kind of like where a lot of music is going right
Cool.
now. With the stuff that's going on with Live Nation and Ticketmaster and Congress and all that.
Yeah.
There's like a resurgence. And these are not necessarily correlated, but
Right.
there's a resurgence of underground
That's
DIY
right.
music.
Yeah.
So my friends in Bondbreaker, right? A band out in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
They're like a mixture of punk, ska, metal.
Nice.
That's cool.
Throw
That
that
sounds
out.
cool.
Just
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
you know, the mixture.
Yeah.
They just recently did like a big tour where they went, I mean, everywhere from like
Whoa.
Brooklyn, Connecticut, down back.
So they're
you know.
like successful touring, a touring band. Like
Well,
they,
that's where like what does that mean? What does successful
Oh,
mean?
I
Does
see
that
what
mean
you
that they
mean.
came home with a profit? I don't know.
Yeah,
But did they come home
interesting.
with more listeners than they left with?
Right.
And like I said, I don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they planned it out to where they do come home with a profit. But the point is that it's DIY. So
Right.
one day they might be playing like in a nice club, and the next day they might be playing in a New Orleans underpass skate
Whoa,
park.
dude, that's cool.
It's just about getting a gig around some people
Yes.
who want to hear music and develop listenership and a listener base.
Yeah.
So, you know, touring is, you know, change, but at the same time, you have to be built for that life. Like,
Yeah,
I know
that's
they're probably
right.
taking some naps in the van and stuff
You know
like
they
that.
are,
And I'm
yeah.
like 300 pounds and sweaty, and I'm kind of like, so I don't
Dude,
know if
yeah.
I'm built for that.
I
You know,
know.
I would much rather have like a nice hotel, and I don't
would
think
too,
that's how
dude.
you start out with it, you know?
I don't think so. Yeah,
Buzz, bro.
but that's interesting to talk about, like how that's changing. So, because I've
Music.
talked to a lot of musicians, and
Or live music, I guess. Yeah.
it's like how are musicians? You know, like for instance, you know Nick Lowe, right?
Uh-huh.
I really like Nick because he's very practical.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not, you know, out there saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna get my big break," and somebody's gonna randomly find me. He's like, "Look, like I've been doing this a long time.
It's
Like
a creative outlet.
Yeah, exactly. For him, it's a creative outlet. His family's been doing it. Like he has real roots in it, and he also though is really creative when it comes to getting his music out there. Like he's like, here's what I have a plan. Like I'm gonna make a bunch of short form content. I'll release one song. We'll do a video, but it's not about just putting a video out. Like we'll have 15 to 20 pieces of short form content that we do around the video and the song. Like one might be where I got a boombox and I'm walking around and I'm like going to Walmart and I'm like, hey, check out my song.
Right.
And one is like me in the studio, and I'm like, you hear me in the studio. And then one is like where I'm doing an interview. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
that's cool. He's got like, and I said, is that how a musician makes it now? Like, is that what you have to do? And he said it's a combination of selling merchandise, doing enough touring in the right way to where you're selling enough tickets and selling merchandise. But what I want to know is like, how do musicians now like make it big to where, you know, like in the past, it's like you get signed
TikTok.
to a label.
Like, I'm
Is
not
it really?
joking.
I don't know, man. I mean, that's definitely how a lot of them do. But like,
Yeah.
listen, the thing is like when you talk about music, it's really hard to talk about music with an umbrella, right? Like,
Yeah.
so like, you know, for instance, you're talking about like Nick's, you know, sorry to use you as an example, Nick,
Right.
but like his like goals and aspirations in this. Now, in the world of hip hop, that's kind of like the mentality is always like, no, I'm finna blow, right?
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
like, and so because of that, you have a lot of people who are
Wow.
either like, they're not. What's the word I'm looking for? They're not happy with, or they're not content with doing it because what it gives to them.
That's right.
So the music that I make, right, without
Uh-huh.
getting too deep into it, because it's not for everyone, and literally, honestly, if you're watching this, it's probably not for you. I'm just going to be honest. You don't have to go check it
not
out.
for you
My mom
immediately.
doesn't listen to it. Like my wife
Yeah.
doesn't listen to it. It's pretty bad. You know what I mean? It's pretty. It's pretty bad.
dude.
But
It's
the
just
thing
real niche
is
specific.
that it's very much music that you make for yourself, and
Okay.
if you happen to somehow pull off to where you're like a touring act,
Right.
because that's where the money in this comes from.
I'm
and
sure,
the metal,
yeah.
the extreme metal world, and certain aspects of like punk and things like that, the money is going to come off of like a live show,
Yep.
and like you said, merchandise selling,
Okay.
not so much album sales
Yep.
and things like that, right?
Yep.
So if you're in that realm, you kind of, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Hold on. We'll edit this out.
No, yeah, you're good.
We'll keep
dude.
it right here. I've been watching a lot of Adam Ray as Dr. Phil, bro. It's been ridiculous.
Have
You
you
got to
really?
watch that. It's so
Yeah?
good. I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
So basically, when you're talking about that, like there's a lot of people who won't commit to being like in all right, edit all that out.
Yeah.
So in the metal music that I'm talking about, right? It's very much because of what it gives to you. And if you're lucky enough to have it blow up in some other way and make it either financially or whatever it is, right? Like what your designs are really is how successful you are. So for me, the music that I make, it's really just for me and my friends. Like I send it to people I know that I've grown up with because they're all, you know, very, very, I have some very, very talented musician friends I've grown up with, right?
Yeah.
And they are generous enough to listen and usually give me some very positive feedback.
Nice.
And that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And aside from that, like if I was somehow lucky enough to like make it to where other people who like this extreme dark corner of music somehow listen to my stuff and enjoyed that, right?
Yeah.
Then that's
a
great.
bonus.
Yeah. But there's no like goals of riches.
I got you.
But in rap,
why is it that way? Yeah.
because rap is a very materialistic thing. You know what I mean? It's a music about materialism. So it's about how big your chain is and how nice your car is and things like that. And I'm not saying all rap is.
No, for sure.
I'm not like trying to, you know, umbrella that.
Yeah.
But what I mean is that like you're not going to find, you know, like who Lil Dicky is?
Yeah, of course.
So like Lil Dicky's whole thing is kind of like the satire of it all, right?
Yeah.
Being satirical of himself before he was like doing the show when he was just doing the rap or whatever.
videos and stuff, yeah.
And when it comes to like rap, you don't see a lot of that, you know, because it is weird for someone to come out and be like, listen, I don't care if nobody hears this. I'm doing this because it's a creative outlet. It's the same thing as a person standing up in a darkly lit room and saying poetry to a room full of strangers. Whether they snap at the end or not is not what you're there for. What you're there for is to get your words out. It's what we talk on these microphones for. It's what people make content for.
Right.
Like I used a term off the air that I won't use here, but it's about getting your stuff off. You know what I mean? It's the same thing as a wrestler trying to get his promo in or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you can find that, I think that everybody can be successful in any type of music.
That's good.
As long as you know
what
your
about,
bar
man.
for success is, right?
Yeah, that's right. But you do hear that a lot. Like, I'm finna blow. Like, I'm finna blow. And it's like...
And I hope that they all do.
Of course.
You know? I don't want to... You know T-Phil's?
Yes, of course.
So I don't want. He had a song back in the day called "Dream Killer." I don't want to be the dream killer. You know what I mean?
I hear that song. Are you talking about Haston or no?
No, I'm talking about his brother, T.
Terrence.
Yeah, Terrence.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We don't use government names.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
I'm not talking about Star. I'm talking about T. Shout out to both of those dudes, man, and shout out to Star's son because he's actually doing music now too, which is like got to be so cool, right? Yeah. So
dude, that is cool.
My whole thing is like I don't want to like kill anybody's dreams. You should definitely strive to blow up if that's what you're striving for.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, speaking to your point about Nick, is that that's a really positive mindset to have because
I agree.
when you're not putting those kinds of expectations, he's probably getting a lot of joy. And honestly, the best word for it is therapy. You're getting a lot of therapy. You're able to talk about things that you might not have anyone to talk about with, and you're able to put it on a beat. And when it's done, you're with music and you're proud of it. And like you said, he comes from a musical family, you know? So like that's kind of my thing with like the drumming. Like I don't necessarily need to be in a band drumming, playing the music that I want to play. It's just about being able to, you know, cross that off of my list of things I want to experience, you know? Because I've done a lot of random stuff, right? Like I did rap for a while. I did music videos for a while. I did photography for a while. I did a lot before I found radio, you know what I mean? It wasn't a straight path. Radio just was the one that stuck. You know? But I was able to cross off some things, you know what I mean? That I kind of wanted to do and work with some people that I wanted to work with, or like perform at the River Stage, or like be in the Standard Times. Like these are things that like meant a lot to a small town person like me. To the point to where I got to a point to where I was like, you know, I don't really need to do this anymore. Like I have other goals and aspirations, you know, because that's really what it's about. What it's about is that as you get older and as you grow and get close to that midlife crisis, your goals, they morph and they change and stuff, and they might still be kind of the same thing, but they just have different endpoints. You know what I mean? So to answer your question about how you blow up with music, the long road, bro, don't get me going, man. I talk.
No,
you know
I like
what I mean?
that. That's interesting.
I'm loquacious.
To
get to where you're going, to blow up in music these days, you could easily make a song with a really good dance and a good beat and a good hook, and you could blow up off of TikTok tomorrow. You know what I mean? But I don't know where the longevity is in that.
That's what I want to know. Like, if that happens and you have a viral video, and let's say you grow your followers to 20,000 or something, and is that how people do it now that do like make it big, or is there like, are they still signing to labels and stuff? I wonder. Like even in pop or anything. I don't think the label matters I mean, the label's always back there. You know what I mean? The label's always back there in some weird, wicked way. It's kind of like that horrible final Star Wars sequel
right? The
Yeah.
Last Skywalker,
Yeah.
where you find out that everything that's happened was all really just the Emperor in the back, and you're like, this is ridiculous. This is insane. It makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the label is, you know?
Okay,
Recently,
yeah.
there was the big beef between Drake and Kendrick,
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And people are like, oh, Drake's a label puppet, and Kendrick, he's kind of more independent, but, you know, that's not true. Kendrick is also a part of Universal Music
Right.
Group and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Lucian Grange and all these same people, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
So the label's always still there.
Interesting,
But
yeah.
the thing is that you don't necessarily have to have the label like you might have had to have back in the day. So you can blow
That's
up off
right.
of TikTok.
Yeah.
Or you can blow up off of, you know, whatever, YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
And then whether or not there's going to be a longevity or not is kind of really on you. And like, I'm no expert in this. I'm just telling you like my
Right.
opinions on
Yeah.
these things, right? But like, so it's hard to even like think of an artist that's blown up these days that you think will still be here in like 5 years, right?
Yeah,
So like when we
I
were
know.
growing up, like the rappers, like the, you know, we were in, let's see, when we were in junior high, that's
Yeah, like
whenever
Jay-Z.
Cash Money came out,
Yeah.
and Jay-Z was really starting to blow
Yep.
up down here more so because he was already big up in the
Yeah.
East, right?
Yeah.
And it was switching from like a No Limit to a Cash Money thing.
Uh-huh.
So you had like the rise of Lil Wayne, which
Yeah,
would
that's
end
right.
up going
Hot
a
Boys
long
and shit.
way. You know,
Yeah.
like I remember seeing him in concert like in probably 2005. And that was
yeah.
like the height. That was like father, like son, like, you know, Drought 3 era, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then
Yeah.
even today, I was just having a conversation with somebody who will remain nameless, and you're so lucky I don't put your name on here, but we were having a conversation. We were just talking about concerts and about how much acts cost, and the one that came up was Lil Wayne because it's one that we always talk about, and
Yeah.
it's still like such an expensive ticket. Whether
How
or not
much- like how much?
I don't even know. I'm
Oh.
not good with that.
I
I've
wonder,
never booked
yeah.
shows, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that it's nothing less than $100,000. But I don't know
What?
that. I don't know that, but I'm just
Wait,
saying.
to book him, you mean?
To book him to come
Oh,
for a
I'm
live
sure.
show.
Okay, yeah,
Like
yeah.
to
Yeah.
go, I
I'm
think
sure.
like a
Like, what would it be to
5
go
days.
to
It's probably
go,
more than
though?
that. Oh, to go?
Yeah, like I'm sure. It
Like how much a
ranges,
ticket would
but
be?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it just
do they
depends on where you're at
Yeah.
and where you're throwing it. Here, it would be a very high ticket, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people wouldn't pay the price. But that's beside
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
My point of that is that like artists like that don't really come around as much these days. The one that would strike me as like the biggest artist to recently blow that you know is going to
Yeah.
be here in 5 years would be Jelly Roll. And
Dude,
I'm not
that's
like
a good example.
somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know a
It's
lot
good
about. I
example.
don't know a lot about his career these days.
Yeah.
but I know where he comes from.
Right,
Like this is a
yeah.
guy who was performing at the ICP gathering of
That's
the
right,
Juggalos
man.
and doing songs with Tech Nine.
Yes.
He was a rapper.
Right. Yeah, he was a
He is
rapper.
so
Yeah.
And
cool.
he has managed to find
So
an
interesting.
area where it's like, and Post Malone's going to do it.
Yeah.
Beyonce tried
Yeah.
to do it, but it didn't work. That
She
album-
tried to?
Yeah,
What-
she put out a whole country album.
the country one. Remember?
Yeah.
I remember hearing about it, but I never.
No, I
How
know.
was it?
Obviously not very good because it's like her fastest dropping record ever. I didn't listen
Have you
to
heard it? Oh,
I don't
I've
really
heard
listen
it.
to country much, you know.
I would like to just hear a
Well,
couple of those.
they didn't put
Have
it
you
on
heard
the
it?
country. Yeah, they had it like just on the.
It was
What'd you
playing
think
on
about
some
it?
stuff.
I mean,
That sound like Beyonce singing country music.
no, it was just like a
No?
random song. Like it wasn't
wasn't-
anything
did it have any heart?
catchy. No, like
Yeah.
it just kind of
Yeah.
just went through like,
This
oh,
is-
this is Beyonce's song, and then it kind of went.
Yeah.
If we're gonna really dig into it, this is probably all a symptom of the Taylor Swift effect.
How come?
Because Taylor Swift is like the biggest artist in the world in
Yeah.
a big way, and she comes from the world of country.
She
but
just
she's crossed
exceeded
over.
Michael Jackson, dude.
She's crossed
love
over into
her.
like
In
pop.
sales.
She's
Yeah.
got a song with Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
She charts on the Rhythmic, which technically is what my station would be if we were in a big market. They would like, you know what I
Love
mean?
her.
What
But
do you
I don't
think of
play it.
that? Is it something just so different that we haven't seen? It's the closest thing to Michael Jackson, right?
That's
Where it
hard
crosses
that's
all
hard,
genres,
man.
sort of?
That's hard because that's what I call the Will Smith effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got theories.
Yeah.
So the Will Smith effect is that back in the day, Will Smith was the biggest movie star in the world because, as in his own words, he would disappear and then he'd pop up in the
Yeah.
summer and he'd make millions of dollars in the box office and then he'd go away.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist now.
Okay.
So
yeah.
like the accessibility that you have to these artists and stuff, and the output that they have and
Right.
the content and stuff, like it's hard to make another Michael Jackson because the enigmatic nature of a Michael Jackson or a Prince,
Yeah.
or someone from that day that would
Yeah.
like come out and do a tour and people would be crying and passing out because
Yeah.
it was just so rare. But
Yeah.
now by the time,
Okay.
and I'm sure people cry and pass out at Taylor Swift
Sure, yeah.
concerts. Matter of fact, I think a lot of people passed out at a concert in Brazil. But my point is that like it's a little bit different. By the time you go to see her, you've probably watched hours and 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 hours of content because they're right here. They're available. All
that's
of your,
weird, dude.
Michael Jackson
It's
wasn't
different.
that. You had to be watching a music video or something, you know, and that's why whenever he started doing the long form music videos like Thriller and stuff like that, more like movies, like it did resonate and hit his fan base so hard because it was feeding them just a little bit more of Michael, you know what I mean? So I don't think there will ever be. It's the same thing as trying to say this is the next Michael Jordan. I don't think you can do that. You know, because the times have changed, and also anybody else has the benefit of watching Michael Jordan play, right?
Yeah.
So you know, the Taylor Swift thing showed people that a country artist can make a whole lot of money in a whole lot of other genres instead of just being in country. When we were growing up in the 90s, you remember like the country boom of like Shania Twain, Clint Black, people like that, George Strait. They were doing like arena shows, and it was almost more like a rock show than anything, you know? And that kind of went away for a minute. And then there was like this weird moment in country where like the fan base split. You had people who like old country and that 90s country. And then you have like your Florida Georgia Line fans. And I don't mean to shade them, but that was the one that everyone always brought up.
And the what's the other one? The big one that the chick and the two guys. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Parmalee? I don't know.
Nope, they sing.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. They sing, I've got a girl crush.
Yeah, that one.
I don't listen
you know what I'm talking about.
I don't listen.
Somebody will know.
Yeah,
I'll think of it in a little while.
I cannot sing, but that's...
whatever that I know what you mean by that split though. Like they're
it
like
split.
been
It
around
became
for
a
a
little
while.
popular.
they have.
You know?
I'm trying to think of their name. Why can't I think of their name?
I can't either. I was going to try.
Dang it! Anyway.
Lady Antebellum?
Yes, that's what I was
that's
thinking of.
it.
Yeah,
That's
Lady
it.
Antebellum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
love
that's kind of what you're talking about?
I think
too.
they changed their name.
They did?
Yeah.
To what?
Really?
To
I
Lady
didn't know.
A.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Antebellum
Yeah.
has certain connotations.
Oh, like southern, like
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a horror movie called Antebellum if you want
That's
to learn
right.
more.
Yeah, dude.
Anyways, like, so that was a weird moment for country, and it definitely could have been kind of the death of it. And then all of a sudden, and it's weird, but it's like a mixture of Taylor Swift, and people aren't going to like this, but Lil Nas X was also kind of a part of it. When Lil Nas X made Old Town Road, it all of a sudden was charting on both sides.
Whoa,
and
that was weird.
And it kind of made people realize, like, if you think about it, dude, like if you would go to like a party out at the lake, you know, they might be listening to country, but they're also kind of listening to rap. You want to know why? Because girls dance to rap.
Yeah.
And people want to listen to what makes the girls dance.
That's right.
I don't sound misogynistic, but that's
You're
what
right.
it is. You know what I mean?
That's
so that's why if you have an act come that's like, or if you go to a concert of an act that's like heavy, like with the women, like there's always like a plethora of guys. They're happy to buy those tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of showed people that there was this little crossover area, and now you have the rise of Jelly Roll, who is doing amazing things, and like has crossed over in a way that you rarely see. Where like if you go, I've gone to punk shows this year, like NoFX and Descendants, and seen people in Jelly Roll shirts. You know what I mean? Like he is like really.
What
like,
do you think is up with that?
I just think that he's just. I think that he just. Me personally, I just think that he's a good dude, and people see him as a good dude.
Yep.
And then also,
I think he's hit on something that's real.
He has like a lot of
and deep,
crossover music, you know?
and that's resonating with people on a really very deep level, and it's addiction. You know.
Yeah, I mean
Different.
that's.
He
But,
speaks.
but
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. That came a little bit later.
Yeah,
I
it did.
think
It
that
did.
became prevalent in his message around the whatever it was, like an award show he was at, where
That's
he went
right.
up there and talked
Yeah,
about it.
that's right.
The blow already happened before
You're right.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also comes from like the so like Morgan Wallen is another one who kind of started doing that, and now like Post Malone,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Morgan
yeah.
Wallen are doing stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money in country right now. Is
I
really
know.
what I'm getting.
Why
to
don't
say,
you
know?
like country?
It's not that I don't like country. It's I could say I don't
Yeah.
like country. Sorry, no, it's I don't know, man. Like it's just maybe it's just being kind of like overly saturated with it here or
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe it's just certain
Probably.
types of country I don't like.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
was
mean?
wondering if you, so. Yeah, I'm not a big Nashville guy. There's some stuff I like,
Yeah.
and you might hear that a lot. Like I'm not a Nashville guy, I like Texas country, but I really do like the Red Dirt sound. To me, has got more of a rock vibe to it, and I can dig it more. I feel like I can dance to it better. I just vibe to it better, dude. And it probably also though it's from growing up here and going to like the picnic with like
Right.
Pat Green and Corey Morrow. And you
See,
know what
I
I mean?
never went to stuff like
Dude, it
that.
was
You know
a
what I mean? I
blast,
mean, I
though.
know I've heard,
The
you know,
chicks,
but I
dude,
was
yeah.
just in like a different
Yeah, I get it.
world,
Yeah.
you know. Whenever I was just recently on a podcast. I had kind of the same conversation. I feel bad because
Really?
I feel like I'm rehashing this now. But the one artist that I do kind of still go back to a lot is Clint Black. And I know that's kind of a weird one for people, you know?
Yeah, how come?
Why do I go back to him or why is it weird?
No, both, I guess, really.
The reason why it's weird, I think, is because out of that whole realm of 90s people,
Yeah.
he kind of fizzled off while a lot of people kind
That's
of...
true, yeah.
Like the Garth Brookses and the George Straits are like have this legendary status.
Yeah.
For some reason, Clint Black doesn't.
Yeah, that's weird.
The reason
Yeah.
I like him so much, I don't know, dude. It's weird, man. Like part of it has to do with the fact that one of my favorite movies is Maverick, the Mel Gibson movie.
Oh, dude, I
That
love
song,
that movie,
Good
man.
Run of Bad Luck's on there.
Yeah.
You know, the gambling song.
Yeah.
Really
Oh, yeah.
like that song.
Yeah.
I like Killing Time. I like
love that
the
movie.
Rain. I think Like the Rain's one of the best country songs ever written. You know,
don't
it's
know
got a
that
lot
one.
of heart to it, you know? It's
Like
got
the
a lot-
Rain?
Yeah, check it out. You'll dig it. It's
Okay.
like more of a
It's a
slow
Garner song.
ballad,
Cool.
but it's dark,
Really?
man.
Yeah, it's at Gardner.
Oh,
It's
okay.
what?
Garner. So
Garner
we
State
grew up going
Park.
to Garner
Oh,
State
really?
Park. Did you ever
Yes.
go there? Have you ever gone to Concan or anywhere? The Frio River?
Oh, my.
Dude, it's unbelievable.
I told y'all 300 pounds and sweaty, bro.
You can still
but
go.
It's like the coldest river you could go on. The Frio is, and it is.
I've never
so
gone there, but I mean,
fun.
I've gone tubing at like I guess
New
at, like, New
Braunfels or something?
Braunfels
Yeah.
and in
Green?
no, there's another place around there.
Blanco
that-
or something. No,
I
like
can't think of what it's called. Canyon Creek.
Canyon Creek. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. I love doing
Is that it? Canyon Creek or is it Canyon Lake?
It's Canyon something. Canyon Lake,
Oh,
maybe.
Canyon.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is, man. I really don't know why that particular music kind of is stuck with me. It's got like a weird like darkness to it, I guess. You know? I don't know.
Well,
It's just
Jelly
certain
Roll
stuff, man.
What was interesting, I was watching a documentary on him, and he's sitting there and he's collaborating with another artist, and they're asking, it was a female, and she's like, "So how do you go about writing a song?" And he's like, "Well, it just depends." Like, and he's got this little guitar, and he's like messing with it. And she's like, "Do you start playing first?" And he's like, "Oh no, I don't play an instrument." And he doesn't play an instrument. And she's like, "Oh, you don't play?" And he's like, "No, I'm just like messing around." And he's like, "Usually like they'll just, we'll put something together and like somebody will have a hook and I'll start singing a little bit." So what's kind of fascinating, and I don't know this for sure, but to me it doesn't seem like he's a really great musician in a lot of ways. But he's got something that's different. And I think his voice is unique. I don't, what do you
once
think?
again, man, like people tend to forget this is a rapper we're talking about.
That's true.
So
yeah, that's right.
A lot of the time, you're not going to be a great musician because
Yeah.
you weren't doing that. You were stepping in the booth and laying down.
It's a different
16s.
skill. That's right.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? And he's just able to like switch it over to. He reminds me a lot of like Uncle Cracker.
Dude, I love
You know what I
Uncle
mean?
Cracker.
Mom
yeah.
was really, I don't know
love
why,
Uncle
but I was
Cracker.
thinking Kid Rock, but less problematic. I was like,
Cracker.
Uncle Cracker, yeah.
Dude, less
That's kind of what it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's what it is that certain people, they just have the voice for it, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it crosses over well. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know how important it is to be a musician in country. Right.
Okay,
I know
yeah.
there's a lot of them that
Maybe
play their
not.
own music.
Yeah.
I know a lot of them play guitar.
Yeah,
Maybe not
yeah.
everything, but they play guitar.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, taking it back
Maybe
to Michael
not.
Jackson, he wasn't playing instruments.
That's
you know?
true, right?
No, he had
Dude, that's
producers and
true,
people in there.
yeah.
But he was
That's
dancing like really
interesting.
He was
good.
dancing. He
It
was a
doesn't
dancer.
necessarily
Another
mean
skill set.
Yeah, you don't have to play an instrument to be a good musician.
And Prince did play like 13,
That's right,
30
yeah.
something instrument or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's why a lot of people will say Prince is the better musician.
Right.
But it's really subjective. You know
It
what I mean?
is,
Because
yeah.
the voice is also an instrument.
That's true. Oh
and,
yeah.
and some would say it's the most delicate and sensitive
Yeah,
instrument. You know
that's
what I mean?
right.
I
That's
can
right.
play something on guitar,
Yeah.
and I can be sloppy, and it'll still sound good to an untrained ear.
Yeah.
But because
Yeah.
people listen to people talk their entire lives,
Yeah.
if my voice squeaks on this mic,
Or you're off key a
everyone's
little
gonna
bit.
hear it.
Yeah, it's true.
So
yeah.
it's it's its own instrument.
is,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's just that for some
Did you ever
reason it
sing?
doesn't wrap into that. Yeah, I
Cool.
did. I did when I was in like elementary.
Yeah.
before my voice got a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
I was in the San Angelo Boys Choir.
Were
so
you
I
really?
had to go try out,
Dude,
right down
yeah.
here
I
somewhere.
was
Not
in
to
choir.
give away the location. We're broadcasting from an undisclosed location.
Yeah,
Parts unknown.
exactly. Underground.
Somewhere right around here at a church, I had to go, and my mom talked me into auditioning, and there was probably like 200 kids, and like 50 of them got in.
You got in?
You got
Yeah,
in?
I got in.
How long did you do that?
I just did it for a year.
That's
It was
cool.
like 5th or 6th grade. So by the, like,
How come you didn't keep doing that?
Cause bro, like girls. And,
I know.
you know what I mean?
It was pretty whack. I was in choir.
Things
It
became
was fun,
like
though.
my interest changed. You know what I mean? Like I started playing. Like I used to play viola, and then I found the
Dude,
guitar.
I played
you know,
violin.
Like,
That's cool.
yeah,
Viola
like,
was cool.
But in hindsight, though, if I'm being honest, like,
Yeah.
and my mom would love to hear this, but I totally wish I would have stuck with it. you
Dude,
know?
oh, for
it was a lot of
sure.
pressure. This was
Yeah.
like, I mean, it wasn't like professional,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of pressure to sing good in that. I remember
Yeah,
singing
that's
so
good for you.
high and so long that I almost passed out. Like I would like black, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The teacher was great.
Who was-
And
do you remember who the
Matt
teacher-
something or other. I can't
Okay,
remember his last name.
interesting.
My mom
Yeah.
would know. Let's call it. No, I'm just playing.
Get her on here.
He pushed us, man.
Yeah,
like he would
that's
take
good
you
for
and,
you.
and play the piano and have you like sing and
Yes.
he would get my voice up there, you know.
That's how you, that's how you train it. That's good.
Yeah.
But
That's real good
I
for
just
you.
didn't stick with it. But I wish that I would have. And
Yeah.
I've also like I've looked at like adult singing lessons. I would love.
Yes,
to do
me
that,
too.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
it- stuff's
what
fun.
about, here's what I want to know. So I got to do a real, I don't know if you saw this piece that I did on 2 voice actors that came to town.
Yeah, I
Elise
saw
Bowman.
that. Yeah.
Dude, they were incredible. Like, they're not just some random, like, they're big time. Like, they've done major motion pictures. They do Dragon Ball Z. Like, they're, especially like Kyle, that
Not
guy's
just
been
like
doing it for
Dragon
24
Ball Z, but
years.
like if I'm not mistaken, it's like the announcer voice at the beginning.
He's
and at
the
end.
narrator. Yeah,
that's
Kyle
an important
was.
voice.
It
I'm not
is.
even like a Dragon Ball Z guy.
I'm not
and even
either.
I know his voice. Yeah,
Wow. Have you ever thought about doing voice work like that?
it's a dream. It's
Me
my
too.
Absolute dream.
Oh,
Is it really?
I mean,
Why don't you do more?
I can
You
see
should start
both of you
doing that,
doing that.
dude. We should do a cartoon or something, man.
I'm
You know what I'm
totally
saying?
down. I really am. I
really
love
could
it.
see
I love
both of you
doing
doing
voices.
that.
I've been told I do good impersonations.
Dude.
Like I'm totally
see
down.
y'all.
The thing is that
I love that.
the space is like it's very crowded now.
Oh, is it
It's
really?
a hard space to break into. I don't mean to make excuses, but you ask,
yeah.
like it's a hard like. You might get a little bit when it comes to like the animation and stuff.
Yeah.
They probably reach out more. But if you look at like the credits of like most cartoons or like animated shows these
Yeah.
days, it's a lot of like famous people. And the reason why
That's
is because
right.
it's an easy check.
It is.
Like you
It
can
is.
go in there and be like, yeah, I'm reading for this. You're a famous person. Let's say you're
Yep.
like, I don't know, Mark Hamill or something like
Right.
that. You go in and you're reading for this, and then you're like, hey, you got any other? Like if you ever
That's
look
right.
at credits, you'll see they'll have like numerous characters
That's
that they're
right.
doing.
Yeah, yeah,
I can
yeah,
do this
yeah.
kind of voice. I can do this voice. Just add.
It's an easy
Add
check.
1,000 on the check. You
That's
know
what
what I mean?
Elise was saying. She was because she does both, and she's like, "I'll take these jobs all day because I sit home in my PJs. I knock out 3 of them. Then I have, going to a gig where I'm on camera is so much different. I'm
Right.
spending 12 hours on set. You're in a trailer. Like, dude, that's good, fast money, and it's fun.
But
it's a blast. She said.
You know what's rough about it is the AI aspect.
Well, how come?
Well, because from what I understand, you only have to say a few sentences for AI to be able to recreate you saying almost anything, right? I don't know. Like, I'm not an expert at this. It might be more than that, okay?
Yeah.
But regardless, it doesn't take a lot. So
Dude, it's turned into
nowadays, if you
that.
take like someone like, and I don't mean to like poo-poo on them. I'm sure that they have their ducks in a row, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do with like contracts and stuff.
Right.
And this is part of what the strike was about last year.
Okay.
It's about
Okay.
people not being able to use your likeness and your voice in perpetuity after you do a
yes.
job, so
Yes.
that they have to rehire you for the job.
Okay.
But the point
yeah.
is that they will, and that's why it took them so long to negotiate.
So do you know
they will
about that?
fight. They will eventually make it to where you go in, they pay you for 1 hour, and then they've got your voice for as much as they want.
Oh, are you serious? That's what it'll eventually go to.
That's where I'm at with it. But people tell me
Dude,
that
that's
I'm a little
sad.
bit, I'm a bit of an AI like alarmist or whatever. you know?
Alarmist. No, dude, I don't think there's any such thing. I mean,
I'm a
how
Terminator
can
kid,
it,
bro. I
Yeah,
grew up watching
no shit.
T2, man. I know where
Dude,
we're
for
going.
real. I know. You know what's funny? Like the podcast, the famous podcast episode now of Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, where he says,
The first one?
yeah, I think, or the one where he smokes a joint with
Yeah.
him, and he says, I tried to warn people about AI. I talked to the government. I talked to anybody who would listen. They wouldn't listen.
He
it was
owns an AI
futile.
company.
And he goes, God dang, you're scaring the hell out of me, man. It's like, this is like a movie or so. I think that is literally going to become something we look back at and be like, it was funny at the time, but man, he really was trying to warn the world. Like, he really was.
Like
It's sad,
I
dude.
said when we were kind of doing a little bit of pre-show talking, like the things people give up for the sake of convenience is absolutely insane, and I'm definitely a part of it, and we all are. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I will sit there and talk about the evils of Amazon as I immediately order everything I need from Amazon, right?
Yeah, dude.
I will talk about the death of the music industry, but I'm not giving up this phone and that streaming service. I need it at my finger. I need
So we're
I've
doing
tasted
it to ourselves. Yeah.
But I also like collect, physical media. I collect records,
Do
and
you?
cassette
Yeah,
tapes
that's
and things
cool.
like
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
But just certain stuff, But yeah, man, like the convenience aspect and AI is going to play off of that. Like the convenience of it all. Right now, you still get backlash. So like Marvel did a show on Disney where they the entire credits were done by like an AI. You could just see it. It was like when all this stuff was first starting to come out, all these AI generated images, you could see it. And that's some artists who didn't have work. A computer took their job. You know what I mean? So they got a lot of backlash. And you know what they did about it?
What?
Nothing. Because whatever, bro. By the time we put the next series out, it'll be regular. You know what I mean? They did nothing.
Yeah,
They
for
didn't
sure.
say anything about it.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it. They didn't change it. They had plenty of time to change it.
Yeah.
Somebody could have came in and like in 2 days and remade the intro and people would have been like, oh, thank you. But they're like, no. This is where it's going. Deal with it. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
The Drake and Kendrick beef just happened, and Drake put out a song where he had AI verses from both Tupac and Snoop Dogg.
Oh, he did?
And like people like don't realize that that was probably at the behest of the label because they're like, hey, let's soft rollout. Let's see how people react. You know what I mean?
How did people react when they're finding out about
I mean, I won't play it. I've never
You
listened
won't?
to it. I don't want
How
anything
come?
to do with it. Because of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. I don't know
Because of that?
I don't mean to like, it's not a metaphor.
Yeah.
That is exactly
Dang,
where I
dude.
think it's going.
Yeah, it might be, dude. Yeah.
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger
Terminator
captivated
2.
me as a young man,
I
and
know.
it's in my head, you know.
Yeah, dude.
But that and a lot of other movies. We talked about Will Smith. I'm all iRobot about it too, you know.
I know.
Like,
Do you think it'll really go there? Like, you think it really will?
I think that
I do.
it's like an inevitable thing, you know what I mean? And more than like a possibility. But it's just about how long it takes.
What about Elon's theory about, or his, to mitigate, we should combine with it, become friends with it, because we're essentially already cyborgs with our phones. As an
I'm not
extension of us.
100% sure he's all human himself, so
I
I
know,
wouldn't
dude.
take
Yeah.
anything
Have you seen the
he says on
meme,
that, you know what I mean?
The meme with
What?
his shirt off, and he has like a big chest.
He has an alien in there. It's piloting
that?
him.
Oh my gosh, no, I've never seen
Dude, it's
that.
so funny. I loved that, man. Because he might be, dude. But so you don't think we could merge with it? Like, what do you don't think that's possible?
What,
we could,
like Johnny Depp in Transcendence? Everything you say, I'm going to take it back to a movie.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Well, my point is this: no matter what lane you have, there is already a movie about why that's a bad idea.
I love
You know
it.
what I mean? I'm a big
You
science
ever watch,
fiction nerd. So.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
No, I never watched Black Mirror. But do you know why?
Why?
Because I know that because I've heard from like people talking
so
about it, I
good.
know it'll stress me out. It'll
Oh, it
give me
will.
anxiety.
It'll stress you out.
You know,
I
because
promise.
I think it's a lot closer to like our reality
it
than what
is.
we like to,
It's stuff that is going to happen. I feel like,
I've never
like it
heard
is
of
like
it.
it's sort of like China. It's like there's one episode I love. It's kind of like there's a social system with your phone, and with everybody you rate them socially like 1 to 5 in stars. But it also affects the way you operate in society. Like if you have lower stars, you can't get into certain restaurants.
Like
you
a
can't
social
buy
credit
certain-
score.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
And I think it's going.
They've been
there,
yelling
something
about
like-
that for
I know.
like
Didn't
8 years.
China
That's
do
coming.
that?
I mean, I
That does
don't know, man. I try to stay out of their business.
Yeah.
I got TikTok on my phone, so I'm like, look,
Yeah.
I'll stay out of y'all's mix. Y'all stay out of
Yeah.
mine. We'll just keep it moving. You
I know. Hey, how many followers do you have on TikTok?
None. Like
You don't?
none. I mean, I
I
don't
figured
know.
you
I
had,
don't
like,
even
thousands.
know. No. That's Hunter.
I know,
Shout out
dude.
to
How
that
many
boy
does-
H-Mont, man.
Yeah, H-Mont.
He figured that out early, dude.
Yeah.
He's funny, bro. He had the
He
oh
is.
my god, dude. He had this one
He is.
where he first off he's like super charming.
Yeah,
you know
he
what
is.
I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he looks good on camera.
Yeah, he does.
And
he does.
And he was like
This is
I
our
don't know.
host.
It was like black. He was like sitting there and he's
For
all
the-
stoic. He goes, God, what did he say? He goes, I went to a zoo the other day. All they had was a dog. It was a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Like a Shih Tzu?
Yeah.
I died.
You did?
I was like, oh, put this guy on TV, and then like, boom.
Not many people can tell that joke and it really be that funny. You know?
It was so funny to
That's
me, dude.
great. Yeah, I saw
mean,
some funny ones he did.
And he would have like
yeah.
the cat. Yeah, he did great with that, man.
He
was very
did.
good.
You know what was interesting?
I don't know
about
how
that?
to cultivate a TikTok audience, and I even have a friend
Yeah.
who works for TikTok.
You
so
do?
you would think I'd be able to like,
You know, remember Blake
finagle
Lagon? I
that.
told you he's coming on. Yeah,
yeah, he works for Meta, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So he
Dude,
might be
it's
half
cool.
AI now.
He might.
Be careful,
dude.
bro. You might need to
But
get
I
like
want
a
to talk
detector.
to him about some of that. Have you
Yeah.
seen the AI glasses, the Meta glasses? I mean, the Meta glasses.
Yeah, the
What are they
big
called?
ones or whatever. I don't remember.
No,
what
they're like
called.
these. When they have the cameras here.
Oh no, I haven't
Oh,
seen
no.
those.
Dude, they're
Oh, I'm
awesome.
thinking of the Apple ones, the Apple
Yeah, no,
Vision
not those
Pros or whatever.
But these are like these, literally. And I think Ray-Ban actually did pair with Meta, so you can get Ray-Bans, and it's hands-free camera is what it is, videoing basically, and
Yes,
it's pretty
I've-
cool.
Yeah,
I want
I've
to
seen
try
it.
them.
Make no mistake, similar to like an Apple Watch, that will be like the norm in a few years.
I think
I'm
so
sure.
too.
Like the
Yeah.
Apple Vision Pro or whatever.
What
it's
are
called.
those?
It's the same. It's like augmented reality or
Yeah.
whatever. But the thing is that they're horrendous and they're huge and they're
Oh,
big.
see, yeah.
But they will trim that down.
They will.
and they will get
Yep.
it to where you're and then everybody will have it, and then we'll be like Bruce Willis in the movie Surrogates.
Okay, so here's what this is one of my favorite
Or
topics.
not Bruce Willis, but everybody else in the movie
Simulation
Surrogates.
theory is one of my favorite topics.
Okay.
And so, like,
That's a scary one too.
I
huh?
know, dude. This
I'm
is
like,
so good.
what?
Just because, so like, have you ever watched The Matrix? Have you ever seen The Matrix? It's one of the
No.
best examples we have of
We're gonna have to
simulation
give you a
theory.
list of things to watch.
I know.
Yeah, because I have not.
So the idea is
watched- I
that
told
reality, or that virtual reality gets so good that there becomes a point to where you can't distinguish reality from virtual reality, right? And so that if you
Okay.
look, this is what Elon Musk says, if there's even a factor of 0.0001 that technology is going to keep progressing, then at some point you will reach the point where it's indistinguishable. So he
Okay.
says that the probability of us being in base reality is very slim. We probably are in a simulation, in other words.
I don't. I think that there. Just to like throw this out there, I also have read that Stephen Hawking said that.
He did?
So I don't know who came up with that
don't
that
either.
first, or
Yeah.
if that's like a widely shared thing that they're just regurgitating.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like because of the Rogan episode, that gets credited to
It
Elon.
does.
But I've
Yeah, I
definitely
think you
heard
might
that
be
from
right,
other
though.
people.
I think it is
But
somebody
yeah,
else,
the
yeah.
idea is that if you have of a scientific mind, then you would come to the conclusion that we are more likely than not in a simulation right now.
Right. Yeah.
If you
Okay.
look at the progression of technology over time,
Yeah.
then the chances are we've already progressed to
Exactly.
the point of simulation, and
Yeah.
that's what you and I are living in right
That's
now.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's scary, dude. It scares the
How
heck
does it
out
make
of
you
me.
feel?
I don't know, man. It's like
Let's get real therapy
then-
with
I
it.
know,
bro.
Yeah,
like
no.
it makes me. I don't know. It scares me.
Does it make you feel insignificant?
Kinda, but it's not really about that to me. It's more about like it's scary in the sense that it's like, well, what is base reality, and why is it so bad that we're having to do this, and who's controlling it? You know, I don't
Well,
know.
like,
It's just there's
People who take psychedelics would tell you that, like, what they experience on psychedelics
Dude.
is peeking through the fabric of
Yes,
this reality
yes.
that's been created for
yes,
us. You know,
dude. Yeah, like DMT. Like the thing I find so curious about DMT and fascinating is that, and Joe Rogan talks about this a lot, is when people experience DMT, there's something that happens that it's almost ubiquitous. Like everybody experiences some form of this.
yeah. It's like a
Do you know what I'm talking about?
it's like you're saying it's like a shared experience type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a term for it. Yeah. It's like a shared experience in a trip. And what it is there's this barrier. And some people see it as like a door you go in. Other people see it as like a gate.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, like your first trip on DMT, you will not go past that barrier. Some people do, but because there's this sense of if I go past it, I'm going to die. But then when you do it again and you go past the barrier, whether it's into this house or past this gate onto this beach, you experience ego death is what they call it. And they actually call ayahuasca. So ayahuasca actually means small death. That's the term for ayahuasca. That's what ayahuasca means. So you're essentially experiencing death. And so I find that fascinating that it could be a shared trip like that. You
Yeah,
know? What does that mean?
So I have I had a friend who passed away named Ivan, right? Mm-hmm. And I love this guy a lot, man. And he opened my mind to a lot of these types of things.
Yeah.
When I went to go live with my dad for a year, you might have remembered when we were in high school, I kind of disappeared towards the end of it.
Yeah.
I was getting in a lot of trouble. My mom sent me to live with my dad in Ingram, Texas, right?
Wow.
So I'm going to Ingram where I'm like definitely stick out like a sore thumb. I'm wearing like a Slayer hoodie. They called me Slayer for the entire time. Just because the first day I was there, I wore a Slayer hoodie.
Yeah.
And that was my name.
Really?
Moving forward.
Was it like a real like country?
It's very country.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I met a few people who I really like, and some of them that I still keep in touch with. And Ivan was one that I tried to keep in touch with before he passed away. And he had some Indian in him, and in his blood, some Native American, and he was close to some Lakota up there. Mm-hmm. This guy by the name of I don't want to get his name wrong, because if I say it wrong, then it sounds like I'm making fun of him. But I think it was like Dennis Eaglewater.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Maybe it was something like that.
Dennis
Anyways,
Eaglewater. Okay.
yeah. First name Dennis.
Yeah.
Last name super cool, right?
Yeah. That's crazy.
And he somehow got in contact with this Amazon Pink River Dolphin Foundation down in the Amazon. And by the time I get up there and meet him, he's a senior, I'm a junior, and he already was like, as soon as I graduate, I'm going to the Amazon to work for this foundation and to do ayahuasca. And I'm like, and I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
This is way before there's a Rogan talking about it. And he started like showing me all this literature on it and stuff. And I thought one of the most interesting aspects of it for me, aside from the point of like the ego death, which I think is probably something that we could all stand to have, But he said that you can see music and see sound.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
And that like really like, so he ended up going, man. And he ended up doing that, and stayed.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
Yeah, I talked to him a lot about it. He told me all about his stories and stuff.
Would you ever do that?
What is ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is it's a South American. I don't know. Nowadays, it seems like everyone's just talking about it or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But it's basically like a mixture of, I believe, a root and a tree or something like that. Right.
Okay.
And there's
like a
you
leaf
can't just there's a way that it won't react the right way.
It makes it into
same thing?
I think that it's. I don't know. I don't.
I think so. Yeah. So DMT is related. So DMT, I think, is a pure version of ayahuasca, because ayahuasca and something else together makes it react the way where you trip.
I'm trying to think of like somewhere you did you ever watch the show Weeds?
Yeah, dude, I loved Weeds.
No.
Yeah,
No, just
you never
Full
saw
House?
Weeds.
I was
never
very
saw Weeds?
guarded.
Dude, Weeds was
I
the
saw
show.
a
I like
little
the. Do you remember the
bit.
intro? Little boxes, little ticky tacky.
Everyone was laughing
Nope,
on
never
Facebook
seen
the other
it.
day because I started drinking coffee from Starbucks. You know
Wait,
what I mean?
what?
Free ad right there. I started drinking Starbucks coffee, right?
Where they were laughing at you?
Yeah, because I posted it and I was like, my basic white suburban mom.
Yeah.
I look like I live in Modesto, California.
Oh, yeah.
I said I'm basically drinking a Nancy Botwin on ice
Oh,
because
did
I
anybody
get like
get
a
it?
latte. Yeah, everyone was
Really?
like, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I saw it on digital. You can get the entire box set on digital for like $9 the other day, man. That's a great show.
That's a
Wonderful
great show. Yeah.
I think I've seen little because
it was
Nancy, whatever.
Do you remember? You don't
Nancy
remember that? It was
Botwin.
like a housewife who sold weed.
Yeah.
Just
And
little
she had,
bits.
like,
And then it
regular
just went downhill
customers.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just little bits.
It was good.
Ayahuasca is something that was used by tribes in the Amazon for like enlightening and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. And now it's like something that's been taken over by the Rogan sphere is what I call it.
And
like,
celebrities go and do it. And
but like it
find
used to be
themselves
this like extremely sacred thing.
That's
that
right.
You would have to make like a pilgrimage down to the Amazon
That's right.
rainforest. And
Exactly.
not only that, but it's not like you could show up and be like, I'll have one ayahuasca, please. You would have to like become like ingrained with
That's
the
right.
community and
Yeah,
stuff.
dude.
He was given it in a ritual with like a medicine man. And
That's probably the way to do it.
and
dude.
then
Yeah.
you're like sick
That's
for a
badass.
really long time.
That's right.
And then
And
all
during
of a
the
sudden
experience,
it's
very
you're
sick.
not. And then
Right.
Well, I heard.
Would you do it, dude? You heard what? Sorry.
I heard DMT is something that you are born with, and then you
Yeah,
die
we have DMT.
with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, is that like man-made DMT? What people are doing?
Probably, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's synthetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I
So that helped,
they're
thanks.
yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but would you do anything like that? Would you go on a trip like that? Like take anything like that?
Did I have to go to the
trip balls?
Amazon for it? Because they have big mosquitoes down there. He
No,
told me,
like-
I used to tell Ivan, bro, I'd be like, dude, I want to go with you. And he'd be like,
Yeah.
listen, you're
Oh,
not
dude.
built for it.
Probably not.
I'm like, what do
yeah.
you mean? He's like, dude,
Your
you like
skin's
air
too pale.
conditioning, and
Yeah.
and you don't like, and like he was like a
Yeah.
he's like a outdoors guy, you know.
Dude, that guy's probably
He's like
badass.
jumping into the Guadalupe River and coming out with leeches on him and just pulling them off, and
He
I'm like
did?
freaking out, like ah. He's like, you're not built for that, bro. Like, they have mosquitoes there that are the size like this.
Dude, oh, yeah.
They look like they've been
It's
working
wild.
out with you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like getting you up at 4 a.m, like, let's go, brother.
Mosquitoes, yeah. So would you do it if it was like readily available, or you didn't have
Not
to
at
travel?
this age, probably.
You wouldn't? Mm-mm. Interesting.
Things have very
Yeah,
much
I don't
changed
think
in
I
my mindset about stuff like that, dude.
Yeah?
Like, I can't let myself. I mean, I'm a father. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
At any moment, I might have to be in dad mode.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
so
dude.
because of that, like, I don't.
That's
Let,
cool.
I don't even let myself get that. Drunk anymore.
Right, I respect
Unless
that.
I'm like
being
out of
so
town.
Yeah.
My
out of
grandparents
control.
got them, and I'm at
Right.
like
Yeah.
a punk rock show or something like that, and
Yeah.
it's expected of me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
I'm not. I like to, like you said, like have a little bit of control or
Be in
whatever.
control.
For sure. Would you do it?
No.
You
no.
wouldn't do a
If
psychedelic?
if I was
No.
young, for sure.
See, I have this. I want to so bad, just because I've heard so many positive things about having an experience like that, where it's like
Well,
it can
I've
be very
heard bad
healing.
stuff though too.
Oh, for sure. Like especially like with ibogaine and some other. I think there are a lot of things.
Ibogaine, what is that for hemorrhoids?
No, ibogaine is like, it's sort of like ayahuasca, but it's fascinating, dude. It's been used to treat addiction, and so what's cool about it is they call it a receptor reset. And it was in the 90s, the FDA approved trials of it. And what happened was were doing these trials and seeing major success with it. Because what it does is, let's take someone who's addicted to opiates, is it allows them to have this 24-hour trip. They give them the medication. It's like a Chinese root, I think is Chinese. And they go on this trip. And during this trip, they confront certain things in their past or whatever. And they're able to get it's like therapy in a way. They get to the root of the problem. And then they come out of it with no withdrawal symptoms. And their receptors, and they've studied this, have been completely reset. They're new baby receptors. So they don't have any withdrawals after that. They do have post-acute withdrawal syndrome, what they have to deal with, which is a little bit of depression, a little bit of a few mental things. But that paired with some really good post-recovery stuff, the results are phenomenal. People are doing really well with it. So in the 90s, they were doing this, but what happened is a couple people died because there is a little bit of risk for a heart arrhythmia deal to happen.
Yeah.
But that was when they weren't able to monitor it as well, and so they shut it down and they labeled it a controlled substance and said this has no therapeutic value, no medicinal value. It's dangerous. And now they've reopened it though, and the FDA has, and so they're studying it again. And what they want to do is they want to take the trip part out of it, and they're not sure. Scientists are not sure if the trip is important though to it, if it's needed. They're trying to of course Americanize it, and they're trying to make it into a pill form to where somebody can go into an inpatient treatment for 3 days. They take this ibogaine basically without the trip, and they're monitored, and then they have these new baby receptors, and then they're put on a rehab program afterwards. It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Well, my friend did DMT when her mom passed away, and she said like it really healed her.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So when you were saying that they would have a trip and kind of go back,
Yeah.
and they would, she would forgive and see
Yep.
certain things.
You confront certain things.
Yeah, and I don't want to like down any of it. Like,
Right.
I don't
Well, and then
know,
now
you
she's
know,
got
I just
two
did
drug
not.
charges. So
I
it's all
just
good.
well, yes, see that right? That's
So
where it goes.
the
Yeah.
issue.
No, I don't want to like anybody who
Right.
What's the word? How's the best way to put this? I'm like totally an advocate for people living the way that they want to live.
Yeah,
I
You know
love
what
that,
mean?
dude.
And if
You
that's
are.
something like, I mean,
That's
I know
cool.
a lot of people who have gotten a lot of things, and I'm not saying that I haven't like, experimented myself with all sorts of stuff
Sure.
back in the day. I'm just saying where I'm at now.
Yeah, I like
as
that
like,
though, dude.
I mean, I did the things I wanted to try.
That's
I don't
right.
really try a lot of new things these days.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I like
kind of a
that,
creature of
man.
habit now.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
I think that what we were talking about was like the reality aspect of it. You know what I mean? And I think that the point is that like reality is really just something that we formulate in our own mind.
Absolutely.
So like you might run
Yeah.
into somebody who on the street, I mean, with the conspiracies and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
for me, like reality is that there's space up there, but there's a lot of people these days that'll be like, absolutely not. Like this is a dome and this is the firmament.
Of
and
course,
this is the flat
yeah.
Earth. That's
Yeah.
reality for them.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
not that they think that they're full of it. They
Yeah.
just are, and they don't know
That's
it. No,
true.
I'm just playing.
No, it is true.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Seriously, they believe that.
and
with
I
all
think
their
that
heart.
I think it goes the same way with any kind of aspect of it. Like, I mean, it's fun to think about, what if we're in a simulation or whatever, right?
Yeah,
like
it is
that's kind of
funny.
cool to think about,
It
but
is,
at the
yeah.
same time, it can be kind of scary. It's like that thing, like when you find out you're the clone, and like none of it makes sense
Like, I
anymore.
know. I
you
think
know?
about stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and then
really?
all of these apps that everyone uses every day to scan their face. I mean, that stuff's definitely going overseas, and they're definitely making like a sex robot of you.
You think so?
Yeah, you especially,
no.
bro. Look
Yeah,
how look at
right.
you. You know what I mean?
What do you think?
Probably
they're
not me. Probably not the 300-pound bald guy. No, I don't think so.
I wonder, but do you think like they're? What I don't get is like, what would they even be doing with our information? Like, what are they doing?
Making
exactly?
sex dolls, Matt.
Like,
Okay,
I don't know if you've been following
Sex
what's going on
sales.
over there. But, you
Damn.
know what I mean? That's the future, baby.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Dang,
man.
it is.
No, I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, like that's data wars are what it's all about, though.
Yeah.
Like that's what they want. They want your data, whether it to be something as menial as them just selling you something,
Yeah.
or whether it's something more sinister. I mean, like, I don't know. It's kind
Yeah.
of hard to go through life worrying too much about that because, like I said, the convenience aspect. Like, I'm definitely going
know,
to keep
dude.
unlocking my phone with my face.
Right?
I don't
Me
want to
too.
punch in a code if I don't have to because of the
That's
seconds that
what
it's going to
sucks.
save me.
Yeah, dude, is that like that's what we care about more than anything? it seems
Convenience?
like. Yeah, it's like we just
It's
want
amazing
more of that.
what a human being will give up
That's
for
right.
convenience. You know what I
Why,
mean?
Oh my
though?
goodness,
I think
yes.
it's because we're being trained that way. Like, and it's not like there's some guy behind the curtain, like
There
that I
might
know
be.
of. I know, but like, but little bits at
Might
a
be your
time.
boy
we're trained
Elon.
That way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I
because we
do.
get more of it and we get used to it, we crave more of it, and we don't question it either.
right.
You
It's
know?
like
Yeah.
normal. To
Yeah.
us.
Oh, it is, and you can't go backwards. Like if I gave you a flip phone, I mean, I guess you could, but like you're just not going to be comfortable and be able to operate the same as you
No,
were
it's
with
like
your
me with my
iPhone.
Well, I mean,
Android.
certain things come back. You know what I mean? Like I said, I enjoy nothing more than waking up on a weekend and throwing on a vinyl record, right? For
That's
whatever
true.
reason.
That's cool,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to go over there and drop the needle, and then I'm gonna have to flip it. And now a lot of them come on 4, so I have to like keep changing them out.
Have you ever heard Howard Stern make fun of Baba Booey about his record obsession? No. Oh, dude, it's hilarious because he swears that
Poor
vinyl
Gary.
sounds no better than what
It
we have
doesn't.
now. And he's like, "You're an idiot."
Legally.
And then Gary, of course, is like, "No."
Scientifically, it does not.
Okay, yeah. Well, then what is it? Is
Like
it just
an engineer would tell you, like it's a music engineer
Yeah.
would tell you that scientifically, from a frequency level, and what the
Okay,
human
so it
ear
literally
hears,
can't.
It does not sound
Yeah.
better, right?
right? Okay,
But it's-
scientifically,
but
yeah,
better can be a subjective thing.
that's true. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Might sound better to you than it does to me.
I listen to Norwegian black metal, my guy. It sounds
Dude, I
horrible
don't
to
even know
most
what that
people, but
is.
to me,
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. You
Do
know
you-
what I
hey,
mean?
do you
It's like a
think you could-
cacophony of noise to a lot of people.
That's right. That reminded me of something. One time I went to a metal like underground concert, and is this a thing? They had they go, "Oh, we're about to listen to this." They go, "Oh, we're about to start it," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, they're about to start it." And there were these dudes in this room, and I think the genre of music was called noise.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it was
yeah, it
literally
exists.
them making noise with like amps and stuff, and it was like screeching, like these loud. That's a thing. And I
There's
was like, "Wait,
definitely-
this is what we were waiting to hear?"
There's noise core.
Yeah, what's that?
Noise core. I mean, it's basically what you kind of
Right, they're just
and there's
making
just
noise.
genres. My guy Brandon, you knew Brandon. You
Smith?
know what I mean? No.
Brandon-
Brandon Cole.
Oh yeah.
Rest
Brandon,
in
yeah.
peace, my guy
Yeah, for
Brandon.
sure.
Man, he had plenty of noise he could turn you on to if that was what you're
Really?
into. He liked like a lo-fi style of music,
Yeah.
And I miss him so much,
know,
man. Like
dude.
that. But
He was one of a kind.
He
yeah.
he really liked like lo-fi techno and stuff like that, and then like that kind of delves in, I guess, to the world of noise. Not my thing. I would be like, Brandon, turn this off.
I know.
bro."
No.
I did
But
not
some people
understand
like
it,
it, dude. And
what
like
do
I
they
said-
like about it?
I don't know, man.
I
I want to know though, because it's just I couldn't understand. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't understand it. Like, it
No,
just
I
was
wouldn't either.
annoying sounding.
Did it have
but
any
some people
beat?
liked it. Huh?
Was there any kind of like beat?
No.
But like,
to it?
to those people, the country music at the Pat Green concert
You're
is annoying
exactly
to
right.
them.
That's
to
exactly
this person
right.
it is. No,
Yeah. No,
I gotta
you're
stop
right.
trashing country, dude. I totally
I
run a
love
country
that. You're
station.
gonna
I
become that
love my
guy.
country station.
Yeah,
man.
dude, your sister station is.
Yeah,
country
but I've been even whenever I was on it, I was very honest about it. It's
That's
not my
cool.
thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just is what it is. I don't
Yeah.
begrudge anybody else. And
No,
like,
I like that, dude. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to host the Josh Abbott concert in
that's cool.
in Cristobal
Cristobal Coopers,
with
yeah.
Anna and Orlando Reyna, right?
Oh, yeah,
Reyna's
from the Tacos,
that
yeah.
now do the
They're
bridal
awesome.
and quince event.
That's right,
plan.
yeah.
Anyways, they I think she also does a podcast too, if I'm not
Really?
mistaken. Yeah, I think she started doing like a
Yeah, I
pod
saw
thing
that,
leading
actually.
up to her events. You know what I mean?
Does
Like
she still
talking
do
about
that?
vendors. I don't know.
I remember
They're-
that. You're right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
my point is that I was able to go out there. It was a taco fest. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my son was still pretty young, but I brought him. You know, and I took him up on stage with me, and we
That's
really
cool.
enjoyed that show. And I don't listen to
That's
that, and I'll
cool.
never listen to it again. But like. The thing about it is if you like live music,
Yeah.
like I like live music,
Yeah.
like you're
Dude,
gonna
I
enjoy
know.
pretty much anything.
That's true.
Maybe not
man.
noise, you know.
Yeah, not noise.
But-
But I've been to some metal shows that I really liked in person.
Me
Seriously.
too.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited because there's a whole bunch of show announcements that I've been waiting all
yeah?
year. You know, my wife is going to see Justin Timberlake this Saturday
No shit. Where at?
in Austin. I sent her. I got her for
That'd be sick.
Valentine's.
So
Yeah?
not fair.
I surprised her. I got
That's
her
a
and
good
her
gift.
best friend Leanne, who lives
Dude.
up in Dallas. I called her. I was like, "Yo, if I get
Not
y'all
Leanne
tickets,
Bollinger, right?
No.
Okay.
I was like, if I get y'all tickets, can you get to Austin? And she's like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I like printed it out, like a picture of Leanne holding the.
That's
and
good.
put it in a homemade card for Julie, and she ugly cried,
that's-
man.
Oh,
so she's going.
Sweet.
She's
Yeah.
going this Friday, and then
I
the
love that.
concert's Saturday and stuff. So she's going to do
Dude.
that.
You're gonna
And
get
then
points for that forever.
I went to a Descendants concert on
Yeah.
my birthday, which is like one of my favorite punk bands.
Nice.
And I went to a NoFX concert, which is another one of my favorite punk bands.
Yeah.
And so then now she's going to this one, and so then like summer ends a little hot, you know,
Yeah.
and it kind of take a little bit of time off, but then the fall hits.
Yeah.
And recently, like just today, like some announcements happened that had
Like
me
what?
so. Well, the big one today was that they announced that the original Misfits with Danzig is playing in Austin in August, and that's like
Wow,
I got
is
a
that
huge
big?
Misfits tattoo.
Yeah?
They're not haven't been a band for a long time, and they rarely do comebacks. And it's
But
been
you're
my-
going for sure.
for 100%.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I also think that I'm going to go see Slipknot because they got this.
Dude,
I'm not
awesome.
even. You know, it's
Wow.
crazy because when you knew me back in like junior high, I was probably wearing Slipknot shirts every day.
All the time, dude. Yeah.
Like every
yeah,
day.
You did. Yeah, a lot.
But I totally
like them
stopped
now?
listening to them for like ever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But and I've gotten to a point now where like I like everything
Yeah.
that I used to like, and that I for nostalgic reasons.
Right.
Whatever. So I listen to like new metal, and I listen to rap, and I
Yeah.
listen to old rap, and I listen to new rap, and I listen to old
That's
R&B,
cool.
and I listen
Yeah.
to whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of the '80s music that my mom had
Yeah.
playing in the house when I was growing up. You
Yeah.
know, I listen to
Yeah.
more Fleetwood
Oh,
Mac
yeah.
than most
Dude, me
single white
too.
females. You know what I mean? Like I'm out here with
I
that,
love
bro.
Fleetwood Mac, dude. Yeah.
So-
That's my jam.
That's cool,
But,
yeah.
and so like Slipknot's doing a show. That's the one. I think you heard me talking with Colin about that.
Yeah, at the bar.
I'm trying to get
Yeah.
Colin and Kristen to go
That's
to that
right.
one
yeah.
with us.
That'd be cool.
Who else? Let me.
And then the other one is this group called Lorna
Wait,
Shore.
Kristen,
that's
Colin
like,
and Kristen.
yeah,
You're talking about
Colin Brown.
and but Kristen who?
Kristen Bratton. She
Oh,
lives
Brad.
up there.
Yeah. Is Colin still dating that Ashley chick? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay, I wonder how that's.
I don't
going.
even know who that is.
Oh, you don't? I thought that was
That
it's
other day,
interesting.
whenever you and me saw him
Yeah.
there, was probably the first time I've talked to him in like years.
Me too.
You know,
Oh,
I don't-
years?
Yeah. I don't really see him that
okay.
much.
I didn't know that. I thought you talked to him maybe about as much as I do, which is at once every 3 months or something.
No,
But
no,
Yeah,
no.
okay, 3 or 4 months.
I don't talk to anybody that much, bro.
You don't? Yeah.
I talk to
It's
my
rare.
microphone that much. You know, I'm so reclusive and stuff, man. Like I just
Yeah.
talk to my kid and my wife. You know.
That's cool. Yeah.
But yeah. So I love live music, man, and I can really
Yeah.
find it in anything. Like I went to an Imagine Dragons concert with my wife because she wanted to go. I don't listen to that.
That'd
but
be
I had
cool
a
though.
blast.
Yeah.
Because I can either get into the
Yeah.
guitar or get into the bass or get into the drums. Like especially now that I'm playing drums, every kind of drumming is new to
Anything,
me.
I bet
So
is
like
cool.
I'll go from anything from like jazz to metal to reggae to pop to
Yep.
R&B.
Yep.
When Ice Cube performed at the River Stage,
Yeah.
Zapp played
Uh-huh.
like from Rogers and Zapp from back in the day. You know,
I
like
don't know them.
California Love. You ever? Heard,
Oh yeah. What with Tupac? I mean with
yeah. So the
Tupac?
voice that's like California on
Yeah.
the talk box.
Yeah.
That's Roger Troutman.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Who passed away, and then his group is called
wow.
Zapp with his brothers.
Really?
And that's who performed out there. Computer Love and songs like that. That are very
I didn't know that.
They have the talk box.
Did not know
Anyways,
that.
I got to
Okay.
introduce them and stuff, and
That's
then I
cool.
got to go back. I was just telling Sid about this earlier. I had the best time because I went backstage. Like you know how the River Stage is. You know it's right here, right?
Yeah.
So I was standing behind the actual stage
Okay.
by the river.
Yeah.
Watching the drummer play while these background dancers are coming in and going out,
Whoa.
and they had brought a bunch of catered food. So
Ooh,
I'm
cool.
double fisting egg rolls, drinking Dr.
Dude.
Pepper,
Yes.
smoking menthols,
Dude.
and watching like one of the greatest
Yes.
funk bands
That's pretty
all
badass,
time,
dude.
bro.
That's pretty badass. Yeah.
And I was
It's
like,
probably one of those experiences where you like just took it all in. You're like,
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
dude,
this is
sometimes with
badass.
like the weather and the small town mentality, you
Yeah.
can get like bogged down about a place like
true.
this,
That's
especially
true.
if you've been here for
Yeah.
as long as we have.
I
And then there's
know.
moments like that where you like look around, and you're like, it's not so bad.
That's right, dude. What do you
right.
think? Like, we'll end on this, but what do you think about that? Like living, we've been in San Angelo a long time now, dude. And do you ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like, man, I wonder what it would have been like, or maybe I still will get out of here, or like, no, I love San Angelo. Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it's my home, and
Yeah.
I'm here, and I make and I love my job, and I really been there for like 12 years now.
Man, that's cool.
Feel like I'm fairly ingratiated in the community. I've
Yep.
been able to like do some fun stuff, some cool
yeah.
events, some great charities. I've hosted some wonderful things.
Yep.
But there's definitely days where I would love to wake up in a place where I just, like a fresh start kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's part of that midlife crisis
It
thing.
is, yeah.
Right? Like you just think about like, well, like you kind of get into a place where you're like, man, am I going to do this forever? You know what I mean? Not this necessarily, but like live in this town
I
or like
know,
see
right.
these people and drive
Yeah.
these roads. Like there's a big world,
I know.
And
dude.
like, I mean,
Yeah.
they spend a lot of time making this simulation. So
Well, that's kind of what travel could be for.
What if it's like
you know,
Truman's
while I'm
World?
Traveling, get
I know,
out here.
what
right?
if it's like
Yeah.
Truman, and if you try to like go, if you they're like you
Truman,
just
I
hit
know
the
Truman.
ball.
That's why
you're
we've
like,
been here. Yeah.
if you try
I
to
love
move,
that movie, dude.
yeah.
I see
Simulation
that.
Yeah.
stops you, man.
Yeah. You hit a wall in your sailboat.
He's
yeah.
so great. I'm such a Jim Carrey
Dude,
fan, man.
yeah. Oh God, yeah. He's like my all-time favorite, dude. I love that guy.
But I've been able to make a good living for myself and my family in this community, and
For
also
sure.
like I mean I'm like I said I'm a little bit more reclusive than I used to be.
Yeah.
Stay indoors a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a part of the community to some extent.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. Yeah.
And
You're settled down. You have a family, a
Yeah.
wife, and a
Yeah.
child. And
I mean,
so,
listen, San Angelo is nothing if not a fantastic place to raise children.
That's true. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about a lot of the big city troubles that you
Yep.
might have to worry about up there. I
That's
remember
right.
back whenever I was living in like Denton for a while, and you say you lived up in that
I
area,
lived
right?
in Highland Village. Yeah.
So like
Oh yes.
watching the news. This is before the internet, so people actually watch cable,
Yeah.
right? But watching the news up there, it's kind of horrifying.
I bet. dude.
Like-
I bet. There's
it's
so
like
much carnage.
Crazy story after crazy
Yep.
story, and you're like, it kind of makes you. I mean, like if you're a small town guy, it can kind of make you feel a little unsafe.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, my friend Owen just moved he lived here growing up, right? And then he moved to Austin and went to school there and lived there.
Yeah.
And now he just moved to Dublin. And like got
That's
rid of
so
his
cool.
car
Ireland?
and lives in Dublin. Yeah. Now, granted, he was born there. His dad
okay.
like lived
That's
back and
awesome,
forth
though.
forever,
Yeah.
so he's been there. But still, it's a foreign country.
Yeah.
His wife's from Toronto.
Okay.
So my point is like think about the leaps and bounds those people are taking
I
into
know,
the
right?
unknown, right?
Yeah.
So like it
Yeah.
kind of makes you feel like you're playing it safe sometimes. You know what
That's
I mean?
true. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a big world out there. My mom's
Dang.
husband is from New Zealand, and before that
Really?
was born in
My
Manchester.
dad's wife's from New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like there's people who have lived all over the place. You know.
I know.
It kind of feels weird sometimes thinking about staying in one place.
It does kind of. It's
But-
kind of. I don't know, man. It makes me feel kind of sad in some days. I love San Angelo, though. I do. But I feel like sometimes I'm missing out. I'm like, man, because there's so much out there, like you said, and you're not getting all these experiences, you know?
Right.
You don't want to have like a FOMO mindset
Yeah,
about it, right?
that's true,
Like
yeah.
the grass is always greener. It
Right.
might not be. You know
That's
what I
true,
mean? There might
yeah.
just be everything else might just be a whole bunch of different versions of San Angelo.
Well, at least we're not stuck in traffic for 45 hours there and back, you know? And
That's
there's
always
so
the thing.
many great
I've
things.
told my
Yeah, I
wife
mean,
a million
there
times.
are-
I'm like, you don't even understand traffic.
Seriously. No, yeah. Seriously.
real.
What do you think, Janae? I mean, you live in Cristoval, but do you feel like, are you happy with living there in that small community,
Yeah,
but
but she
San
lived in
Angelo's
Highland.
close? Oh, where in Dallas?
I lived in
Highland
Village.
Park?
No, I lived in Highland Village, which is
Is that
like
different?
Highland
Okay,
Park.
yeah.
But
It's
my
like-
point is she's come from that to this.
Yeah, what's
so it's
that
a
like?
much different thing from us going from this to
That's
that.
true.
I would feel right.
Yeah.
it's a culture shock.
Yeah.
It's literally you're going from a different planet. So when
Dang.
I didn't move to like San Angelo. I moved to Cristoval,
Right.
Yeah.
which is population 500.
Yeah.
And so, and I
And the
worked-
spread out 500
I
too.
know. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you're not going to see all 500
That's
together
right.
in one
No,
place.
no, no.
Yeah, maybe
and-
never. Yeah.
But coming and meeting new people and like really making an effort, it's it's done a lot for me because I love to be around people. And so when I was in Cristobal working for myself, doing really well, you know, supporting my boys, being all about them, loneliness really got to me.
I bet. It's
really
different,
getting
huh?
out there and getting to know people and putting yourself kind of first instead of like my boys are getting older and they have my parents. You know, because I had that guilt of like I'm picking them.
Yeah.
But I've been choosing myself lately, which of course for them.
Yeah.
But I've become more thankful living here.
Cool.
And doing this with
Yeah.
you. Because my parents are really big in the community.
How long have you been here?
So I've been here since 2019.
Oh, you've been here for a little bit.
I've been here but like in Cristobal, like I
Mm-hmm.
worked at like Allsips like this past summer just to see like something fun, and no one knew who I was. They're like, "You live
Did
here?"
you like that?
No,
You didn't?
I would love
just-
that.
I know,
dude.
right?
That's like
I
what
thought that was
You
so
do
hard.
want that. It's funny that you
it's
want
weird,
that.
dude. Like it's weird because like I'm nobody. Like I'm just Corey, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like I've gone to school here and I've worked jobs here, and my wife is, my wife is a bartender.
Yep.
And everybody knows her.
Oh,
And
yeah,
so
dude.
because of that,
Both
they
of
know
y'all.
me, or maybe they know
Or
me from
vice
radio
versa.
or radio with this. Like
That's
sometimes
right.
it's like I wonder what it's like to wake up with nobody.
Dude, I know.
It's like the opposite of the Cheers song. You want to
The
go
Cheers-
where nobody
Oh,
knows
Cheers
your
song, yeah.
name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's got to be
No,
kind of
yeah.
cool, right? Stranger in a
Yeah.
strange land. Right?
I know, dude.
It's
I
Cristobal.
get why you
though.
long for that.
It's
I don't
Cristobal.
long for it.
You pine over that, yeah.
You know,
I
it's
just don't pine over it every
long
day.
for it.
I mean, it sounds bad. Y'all make me sound bad, like not liking it. in
No, no,
Cristobal,
no,
but
no,
It's,
it's-
it's such a small town.
Yeah.
That the most random things happen. They're like, I'm not even gonna say it. Like, they don't know who I am, and then they put a name with the face, and they like make up things. So it's just easier to stay in my
Really?
little hut. To be really honest,
I'm from here, and my grandparents live out there, and I
That's
went
right.
and lived out there with them for a year, and even I was like,
Oh.
"Good Lord, this place is small." Like it,
Really?
even being from here, like it is. Yeah, I mean,
Why? What do you
never
mean?
like drive like between here and Austin, and you like see like a small place.
yeah.
You're like, "Who the hell lives
I
here?"
always
You know
think
what I
that.
mean?
Yeah,
Like,
no, yeah.
Why
But
did
I
I just
never
have to
lived
slow
there.
down to 55?
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
two
But
houses.
what was
you
it
know?
like living there for
I
a
mean,
year?
it was fine because I was just driving in every day. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, there's certain days where you're like, God, I mean, there's some people out there who don't really come into town a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially the older people and
Yeah.
stuff. But that's what they want. It's ranch living and
Yep.
stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, not to be, to be fair, like, it's like, sought after ranch living.
Absolutely.
People want to go
Oh,
out there and
gosh,
deer
yeah.
hunt and stuff like
Heck
that. you know?
yeah.
But,
Prime
it's,
real estate
Well,
now.
I picked it for my children.
yeah.
Really, for
Yeah.
their schooling, because I went to the same. Well, I started first grade, and I did the same, like, it was LISD all up to when I graduated. And so we moved when my son was in the 4th grade. And so I wanted stability, but not like this huge school and different. So I think we made the right choice with that, because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he is thriving. And
That's
then my
good.
little one is really thriving. So I
Yeah.
love that part of
You never
Cristobal.
like,
That's cool.
You run into, I run into people all the time that aren't from here that live here, right? For
That
whatever
aren't
reason.
from here that live here.
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you
yeah.
mean?
People that have like moved here.
Yeah,
like her,
for
right?
sure. Yeah.
My
Yeah.
point is like, at being from here, do you never like if someone's like, yeah, I just moved here from California or I
Right.
moved here from like Austin, and you're like, why?
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
there's a reason, you
There
know what I
is.
mean?
Well, I was
there is
born
things
here.
For
you know what I'm
sure,
saying?
yeah.
Well, I don't just mean
Yeah.
you specifically, but anecdotally,
yeah.
like
Right.
you run into people who are like here for military service and then decided to stay, or
Yep.
like people who.
That's true.
So I
Yeah.
told you I went to school in Ingram, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is still the thing, but whenever I was going to school in Ingram,
Uh-huh.
a good chunk of those people ended up coming to school at ASU after we graduated.
Whoa,
because
yeah.
to them, that's a big step
Right.
up. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So, like, home is where the heart is the most cliche thing I could
Yeah.
ever say on a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really a very true statement. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like this is home
It's
or
true.
whatever, because this is where we're at. And you might find going somewhere else, bigger, smaller, whatever.
Uh-huh.
You might find a happiness, or you might find something that was missing that you didn't know was there. You
Yeah.
might find something completely new. Or you might find that you really belonged where you started in the first place.
Whoa,
I mean,
yeah.
it wasn't that profound.
No, but it's,
No, but
it's-
that is
it.
What
is
if that did
true.
happen? You know?
I mean, it can definitely happen, bro.
Because
Like,
you do, I think every human thinks that in a way. Well, maybe not every. I know I do, where it's like you think there's something you're missing, or like that it could be if you're in a different city, there's something that'll be so great about it, and your life would be this great adventure. You know what I mean?
So when we
And
were
I don't know
talking
if it's like that.
throughout like this whole thing, like you kind of like, so you asked me about like my aspirations as far as like radio and stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm so apprehensive to answer things like that is because that's what that involves. In order for me to level up, I would have
that's
to.
right. Yeah.
I would have to, you know, and
That's right.
and especially in radio specifically, like people tend to move markets a lot. They'll be like
That's
in a market
right.
for a year, and it's
Yeah.
all about getting a raise and bumping up markets
Yep.
to where eventually they trust you to take over like a bigger market.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, you know, that entails that, or like for
yeah.
instance, the voice acting thing. You
Uh-huh.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now in 2024,
you wouldn't have to though,
because
necessarily,
people
right?
can, but at the same time, to get yourself out there, you know, it might be better to have been able to get your foot in the door
That's
back
what
when
Kyle was
everybody
saying.
was
Yeah.
going out to LA and doing voice work in
Right.
the studios.
That's right. Yeah.
But times have changed, and like I said, it doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
AI is going to take it all over
Probably,
if they haven't
dude.
already, and if this is not the simulation.
I don't know if we,
kind of bleak,
Yeah.
kind of bleak.
dude, maybe we really don't have much time before AI take. What if we are like a couple of years from it instead of like 20, 30, 40 years?
I mean,
Like, what if it's that?
It's you know,
would
the thing about talking about AI is that someone's going to know more about AI than you, and they're going to be like, this AI idiot, right?
Yeah,
I'm an
for sure.
AI idiot.
Yeah,
That's
me
fine. I don't
too.
know
Yeah,
anything.
for sure.
But my point is that like from the first time, people are like, there's a thing called Chat GPT to
I
where
love
it
chat,
is
man.
now,
Yeah.
which was like, I mean, what was like
Dude,
maybe a
right?
year,
Yeah.
maybe a year's time.
That what? A couple of years. but
From
yeah.
like not from the inception of Chat GPT,
But
but from
because
the
it was
point to where
mainstream and people were
started-
talking about it?
Yeah, getting into
Probably
like,
here about a year ago. You're right.
when they
Yeah.
started getting
Yeah.
people to like write, when lawyers started using it and
Yeah.
fired paralegals and things like that. And
Yeah,
whenever
okay,
people
yeah.
are getting it to write their book reports. You know
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
got you,
To
yeah.
where
Recruiting
AI
and-
is now. Where
Yeah.
like my son, you know, he likes to, before we go to bed, he wants to like go and look at these Instagram channels that just make AI of like, it'll be like coffee mugs of Marvel characters. Right?
How do they make it with like a 3D printer? Or
I have
something?
no. It's just like pictures. It's just
Oh,
AI
okay.
generated images, and
Oh,
I'm
I got
super
you.
anti AI image.
Yeah.
but I mean, the kid likes it or whatever. And
Yeah.
his generation, it'll be normal.
It
Yes.
will.
We will
man.
be the last generation fighting against the robots and the AI. I had no
He's
idea.
growing
that-
up with
I
AI.
had
Our
no
kids are growing
idea
up
that
with
this
AI.
was going to turn into a
I know.
conspiracy
How old
podcast.
is your son?
He's 4.
Yeah.
Okay, because mine's 7, and they're the alpha generation.
Is that what it- is that
Yeah,
generation?
Generation Alpha.
Is
Who
it
named
really?
that? Did Joe Rogan name that?
No,
I wonder who did name
I'm
that.
a millennial.
Is it just next what comes in the? I mean,
no,
who?
for real, it's Generation Alpha.
Yeah, I think you're
because
right,
My
but-
7-year-old.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're the AI generation though. That's
Oh, definitely.
No,
wild.
man, it's like, you know, like what they grow up with as normal will be the things that we're kicking and screaming
That's right.
about taking our
That's
job
how it
and
is,
stuff.
right?
you know?
Yeah.
It goes down to like the point of like, I can try to show my kid the, like, let's say like the Robin Hood film that we grew up watching, the Disney with the fox, right?
Yeah.
One of the most beautiful and amazing pieces of animation ever made.
Yeah.
From the opening credits
Yeah,
to
dude.
the end, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't care about that at all because
know.
he's seen Toy Story.
That's right.
And all these like beautiful computer graphics.
That's right. So that like he can't even get interested in that, can he?
I mean, he can because
He
he's
can?
getting a little bit older. But when
Okay.
he was growing up, like, no, he didn't care. You know, I mean, he's
Yeah.
still growing up, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Like, he's getting a little
He
bit
is
older, so
growing up.
now he will watch
Yeah.
certain things because he knows this is Daddy's
Oh, really?
favorite. Like, he's like
That's
into Ninja
cool.
Turtles and
Dude,
Star
I'm looking
Wars
forward
'cause
to
of
that. Yeah.
It gets
That's
to
cool.
that. It's
Yeah.
Oh
because-
no, they get fun after a
Yeah,
while, bro.
yeah.
For a little while, it's just work and stress,
I know,
and then
right?
they start to give you a little bit back.
Yeah.
You know, the
Because
fun
when you were
side.
can't
talking
wait.
about nostalgia, like I have a 15-year-old that he's like 6'2", red hair, and he plays the drums, and
Yeah,
I mean,
plays
he
the
reminds me
drums.
a lot. Oh,
he's
yeah,
he's good. He plays like the quads, right?
He plays
Yeah.
the quads, and
Except
he,
for I don't have hair.
Yeah.
he's got like a lot of it.
I
but he's
had
just
long
like
hair.
Dude, you had long
I
hair.
had
Remember
long hair.
that?
Look, this is proof right
Dude,
here.
you had
this is one
badass
of the
hair,
few
dude.
people who
He
knows.
It was
Well,
crazy.
so I mean, you never
But
know.
what were you saying,
But
though?
He he'll listen. He's got like on his Spotify. He has like a little channel called Nostalgia, and it's from music we listened to when he was like 4. with the two of us, and I had no idea
What?
he remembered that stuff. Like,
Whoa,
take me
weird.
to church, and
Yeah.
he's like, "This is when we lived," and it just
Whoa.
like melts my
We
heart.
talked about Fleetwood Mac, dude, and
Yeah.
like that's where that comes from for me. I didn't like grow up listening to Fleetwood Mac my whole
Right.
life.
Same
I just
here.
got to a certain point to where I realized, like, man, every time I hear this music, I love this music, and it comes from my mom.
Isn't that cool,
This
dude?
reminded me
Yeah.
so
Like,
much
even
of
to
Mine's
the
but
the
I didn't
Eagles
wanna
with my
interrupt you.
dad.
Even to the point of the song Tusk, right, which is
Yeah.
one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs. It's
Yeah.
a very slept on song
Yeah,
by them, right?
it is,
But
yeah.
like I very specifically remember like hearing that song like while we were floating down the river in Canyon Lake, and it always made me think of that. So like I think that
Yeah.
I get that image in my head.
Yep.
You know, I love
That's what's cool about
I
music.
love nostalgia. I love talking about nostalgia.
Yeah.
I collect things. I collect old comics. I collect know,
Yeah.
I love and the thing that kind of is, you know, the self-fulfilling prophecy of it is that nowadays nostalgia is in abundance because people that are our age have the buying power, and so they're coming back with everything that we
That's
like
right.
because we have the money to
That's
spend
exactly
on it.
right. That's how it
And
works.
the good
yeah.
news is that Jeff Bezos has made it very easy for you to get it overnighted with
Yes,
Amazon
yeah.
because
Yeah.
convenience is really the currency
that's
for your data.
interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't even care about the
Like
money.
we're the
He's got
first generation
billions,
that
bro.
really gets to experience nostalgia in that way, like where it's in the palm of our hands.
where we can,
immediately,
where I
you
can
know?
like literally go and order a Ninja Turtle blimp
yeah.
right now. It
Instead
might
of
be
like
more, it
our
might be
parents
less.
like have to find it at a garage sale or something. You know,
Yeah.
they
Right,
couldn't,
or
they
on
couldn't do
eBay.
that. Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah.
Like my mom
real.
talked
Yeah.
about, my mom when I was growing up used to always tell me about Atari,
Yeah.
Atari. But I don't
Yeah.
have to tell my kid about Nintendo or Nintendo 64
Whoa,
because
see, there's a good
we can
example.
just go right over here to one of these retro stores where they
Yep.
have it. Or if not, then they have emulators on the phone. You know what I mean? Like these
Dude,
things.
weird, yeah.
Nostalgia's at your fingertips
It is.
nowadays in like a really, really, in a really prevalent way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's a gift and a curse, right?
Yeah.
Because like some people would say that that's the reason why no good movies get made anymore because people are trying to
Oh, it's
regurgitate.
recycling. Yeah.
George
Right.
Lucas just recently came out with a statement about how there'll never be anything great to come out because nowadays I don't.
He said
never.
that?
Yeah, I might be
Wow.
paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But basically, like, you know, it's a lot easier for them to regurgitate something that they know
For
that you
sure.
and I are going to spend our dollars
right.
on because it comes from our childhood,
Yep.
and that we're going to try to
Right.
push on our children because we want to
Dude,
share these
oh,
things
I didn't
with
even
our
think about
generations,
that.
Very.
as opposed to trying to come up with an
Oh.
original idea.
Yeah.
And that's why when you have something that comes out these days, it's an original idea in the world of music, movies, TV, whatever it may be. It's so like should be treasured. You know, like I really like horror.
that's
The
good,
horror
man. That's a good
genre
point.
has
Yeah.
done very well in the last few years since like maybe like around a good point to put on it would be like the movie Get Out, right? Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a movie that was really out of the box and a very
was,
different
man.
kind of style
It
of
sure
horror.
was, yeah.
And ever since
Jordan
then, with
Peele.
like the rise of A24 and things like that, like there's just so much cool independent horror.
That's true.
And just
Yeah.
I just recently watched Late Night with the Devil, which was like,
Is that
oh,
good?
God, it's so good.
Is it? Where do I watch that, man? I love horror,
We
dude.
rented
I
it, but
love
dude, if you remind me afterwards, I will hook you up. I have my
I get so
Voodoo
scared.
account,
Shut up.
and I have my wife and I buy a lot of digital movies.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you want to watch any
Cool.
Vin Diesel movies, I have every one that
Oh,
he's
yeah?
ever made. So
You
I
love
got
Vin
you.
Diesel?
I'm a big Vin Diesel.
Are you
fan.
really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I
So
like
like
him
my
too.
dad
love
was
Vin
You do?
Diesel.
my
Yes.
dad was a bodybuilder.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, you can't tell.
What? Shut up. He
My
was?
dad, dude. My dad, like, even whenever he hasn't been working out or whatever, he just one of those guys that his physique maintains, and I don't know where he gets it from. There's no one else on his family like that. Maybe his brother Rob is
Yeah.
kind of big, you know. But my
Yeah.
dad's not like a big dude. He's not like an overly jacked dude.
Okay.
But you know, he had his moments where he was like really into fitness.
Uh-huh.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that he worked at gyms, and he just that when I was
Cool.
growing
Yeah.
up, he lived in Austin, and that was his thing. You know?
Yeah, I
he
didn't
worked
know
at
that.
Steve's gym, and
Cool.
would always have. And his name is Steve, so I'd wear a bunch. He's not the
Yeah.
Steve from Steve's
Right,
gym,
yeah.
but
Cool,
I thought that
though.
was my dad's gym, so
Oh,
I was
that's
wearing
cool,
Steve's
dude.
gym
Yeah.
stuff all the time.
That's awesome, man.
cool.
Yeah.
I say that to say that he was big in the Arnold. He grew up
Oh,
in
cool.
the
Oh, yeah.
what's
Golden
that?
age of bodybuilding.
You know that Arnold had that
Pumping
documentary,
Iron, yeah.
that
Yeah.
right. He grew up in that, and
Yeah.
that got him into that. And
Yeah,
so
I love that,
He had
man.
Arnold pictures everywhere.
Absolutely,
And when he
yeah.
would come into town back in those days, you know, to visit my grandma and me, my
Yeah.
grandma lived here. You know, it'd be summer or whatever, and you know, my dad. I mean, how do you entertain a kid? You know what I mean?
know.
Like, so it would be like, you know, go to the toy store, go. You know, swimming,
How old
go
were
to
you?
the movie.
I
I
went
was
swimming.
young, you know. I mean, this
Yeah.
is like whenever I'm like in probably elementary school. mostly.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could look up the exact date for this story in particular, but basically what happens is that back in those days, you would have to have a newspaper. I'm just saying this because I don't know how young your crowd is, but you'd have to have a newspaper, or
to
you'd have
find
to
a
call
movie.
the theater, right?
That's right. Yeah,
No,
dude.
for
Or you would
real.
just show up and see what's
That's
starting
exactly
soon.
right.
And one day we did that at the mall, and there was some movie called Pitch Black that was about to come on. We didn't even know what it was.
That movie was so
and like
sick,
the
dude.
poster, if you look at the original Pitch Black poster, it doesn't give you much. It's just
That's
like
right.
some weird
I
white
know.
colors.
Yep.
And we went in there and watched it, and I was like hooked immediately.
Yes,
and
me
the way
too.
that he had like this Tone Loc-esque voice
Yep.
and the mirrored eyes.
Dude, you're right, man.
And
It was something
and he
unique.
became to me what Arnold is to my dad.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm not like super into like I'm not like crazy into action,
Yeah.
but like for some reason he is always, and I know that a lot of people like, there's a lot of cringe aspects of Vin Diesel, but like I watch Fast and Furious and I watch
that's cool, man.
everything
Yeah.
though, man. Like I just enjoy it because it doesn't take a lot of brain power. You're able to just kind of
Exactly.
kick back and
I like
just
it
like
too.
enjoy
Yeah.
him
Yep.
being Vinny
I've always
D.
liked him too. I'm not like a crazy fan, but I've always enjoyed his stuff, man.
Well, I mean, I can hook you up, brother.
Yeah.
No, but aside from that, that was just kind of
Pitch
aside.
Black was bad.
Pitch Black's
I
great.
never
Chronicles
seen
of
that.
Riddick
Yeah, it's
falls
Chronic-
off, and then Riddick is really good. And now there's another.
didn't
one
like
coming out.
Chronicles of Riddick?
I don't
Was
like
that-
Chronicles of Riddick at all.
Okay, I
it's
don't
not,
remember.
okay. At all is a little weird. I still like it, but I
Yeah.
don't like the ending, and I don't like the overarching story.
Okay.
With like the whatever they're called, the necro
Yeah.
whatever. So I don't
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
it, and I don't like Carl Urban's work in it, and I just
I don't know who that is, but yeah.
He's an actor.
okay. Yeah.
You watch The Boys.
The Boys. Oh my God.
You gotta, you know what I
The
mean?
Boys is my all-time favorite show.
Oh, really?
I
Dude,
haven't
my
seen
dad.
any
So my
of
dad
this.
tried to get me to watch The Boys
Well,
for
Carl
a couple
Urban
of
is
years.
Carl Urban
It's
is
Really?
incredible. Yeah, it's about
have to show
superheroes. The
me,
one about
'cause-
superheroes, right? That
Yeah,
are
yeah.
flawed superheroes. It's kind of a play on celebrity culture and how we idolize them and politicians and stuff, but they're
Yeah.
really like these screwed up people that are evil.
No,
and, like,
it's
so
so
good.
Is
It's
it good?
so
So
yeah. It comes
good.
from
I
comic
have
stuff.
to see it because I've never.
It's
You
so
should
well
definitely
done.
check it out. But
Yeah.
basically, like he's right. Like what it has to do. I mean, and it's so. If you really think about it, like if people with powers did exist,
Yeah.
they would be horrible human beings.
That's right. Yeah, that's why
You
I
know what
love
mean?
it, dude.
Similar
Yeah.
to like not to get too deep into it,
Yeah.
but like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos
For real.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
To have that amount of wealth,
Yeah.
you're probably a really evil person.
How could
You
you,
have
not
to
be?
be.
You would
Like
think.
I've
Yeah.
said this on a couple of
How are you not
podcasts. It's
doing
a
evil
thing that I
shit?
read, but like these people aren't racing the space to create Star Trek. They're
Yeah.
doing it to create Dune. Like they're doing
Oh
it
my
to
God.
go
No,
up
for
there
real.
Yeah.
and take whatever resources they can and claim those so that they have power
You
over.
think so?
Absolutely.
Yes, like Bitcoin and
That's-
stuff that changes. I mean,
Huh.
there's reasons for
You
that.
don't, dang,
Bro,
So you
Elon
don't buy
doesn't
into
wanna-
Elon's like for humanity and he's trying to make the world a better place type deal.
For humanity.
Yeah.
Do you know how much a Tesla costs?
I know, right?
No, dude, I don't find that any billionaires out here doing
Okay,
it for
yeah.
humanity. You know what I mean? Then just hook up some of those billions, bro.
I
It's a
know,
lot of
right?
money. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, no,
Dang, dude.
and you know, like it's fine. Like I'm a capitalist. Like they can make their money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, no, I don't think that. I think that probably anybody who's amassed that amount of wealth over the
Yeah.
years has probably done it off of a lot of unfortunate people who have been crushed under there. But like I was saying earlier,
Really?
Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
I think that Starbucks. You know how like people always these days they say like shop local, buy local,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that their new slogan should be crush local. Because just own it, right?
crushed.
That'd be
local.
hilarious.
Screw
Crush
local, you know
yeah.
what I mean? I think that should be
That
their,
would be hilarious.
I think they
actually.
need to lean
They
into
probably
it,
should
bro.
do that. Yeah.
Like I think
It'd
they
probably
should
work well for
whoever
them, to
owns
be honest
that
with you.
company
Yeah.
should holler at me. I have some ideas. Like let's rebrand, you know?
Yeah.
The whole
That'd
like
be great.
anti-Christmas thing, lean into it, bro. Like just
I know,
and,
right?
You know,
Goes
people
full on Satan mode.
Dude, I hate to be the one to break it to them, but we're already addicted. Like,
Yeah, I
you're
know,
not
doesn't
going to
matter
lose your
what you do.
customers too much.
No, you're not.
People need
Yeah.
that sweet,
Yeah,
sweet
you could
liquid,
put Satan
man.
on the cup, probably.
Oh, they sell
Dude,
like
it's messed
hotcakes,
up.
man. No,
No.
no, dude, I don't think that most of the the richest people in the world. I'm sure there's some outliers or whatever.
Yeah.
but I don't think that most of them
You're
are like
probably
the
right,
greatest
yeah.
person. If you really were to
Like the
boil
big,
it down,
big
you know.
ones.
How
You
could
know.
you be? I guess. Yeah.
I mean,
if
you
have
can,
everything
but
at your fingertips, you know what I mean?
Power.
Like, think about that.
No,
like,
I know.
everything you could ever want is at your fingertips. Like, how are you not going to be corrupt in some way? Like,
Well, you know how
I
much
know
he
what I
pays
would
his-
do with it. I know exactly. I won't tell you, but I know what I would do with
it's
it.
evil, right?
I mean, it's not evil, but it's not good
I-
for me, or I don't know. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well,
what I would do, but-
money is power.
Yeah,
It
And
is.
power corrupts.
that's right.
And that's
right.
just what it is.
That's true. You're
You
right.
know what I mean?
That's
I
right.
don't think
It's kind of a universal law.
I don't think
Very
it's
true.
possible for someone with that amount of money,
Yeah.
like for someone to have billions whenever others have none, right? I
Yeah.
don't think that a human mind is capable of seeing yourself on the same plane as that person. I think that you think that you're
Interesting.
better, and I'm not saying
So,
that that's good or
yeah,
wrong, bad
like
or
it's-
wrong, or
it's-
whatever.
You're
No,
saying
yeah,
that
bad
you're
or
right.
good.
no matter what you try to do, they're just never going to be able to see it the
I
same.
think even if
again.
you're as woke and as enlightened and as much ego death as you try to ingest
Yeah.
through whatever form,
right.
I think that more than likely, in order to be that successful,
Yeah.
and like I said, I'm not saying it's negative,
Right.
but in order to be that successful, you probably have to be pretty cutthroat. You
Yeah.
probably have to be ready
Oh,
to,
yeah.
Toes.
you know what I mean? You
Ready
have
to what?
You can't ready to whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By any means necessary. You know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
accident into that amount of money. You do it by being shrewd and by
Yeah.
being able to, think about the bottom line over
That's
anything
right.
else. So, like I said, I'm not trying to like pick a fight with an Elon
Yeah.
necessarily. I don't really
Right.
care
Yeah.
what he does to ruin Twitter. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Right? Like it is what it is.
You're not a fan of him?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think I think that he's like someone who like, oh God, I hate to. I think that he's like someone who probably is like, it's hard to pick a word to use without offending other people.
Yeah.
But like probably someone who was probably like bullied in school.
I was thinking
Yeah.
the same
Outside of
exact
like the
thing.
fact that if it wasn't for like the money that his parents had or whatever, like
Uh-huh.
I think that he's probably like a socially awkward. I mean, it's obvious that he
He
is,
is,
right?
yeah.
And I think that he really wants acceptance, and I think that he really wants
Interesting.
people to like him. One of the better clips that you can see of that is like when he goes on stage after buying Twitter with Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle, and the whole crowd's booing him profusely.
Yeah.
And like I believe San Diego or somewhere like that, a very liberal place
Okay.
that's gonna boo an Elon,
Right.
right? And they're booing him, and he's like, "Dave, what should I do?" Like he's so lost in that moment, and now
Really?
he's really grabbed on to the villain role a lot more. I don't know
Okay,
how
yeah,
much time
yeah,
you spend on
yeah.
Twitter or whatever.
He has, right.
He very much has. Like he's very
But
much
what did
like,
he
I
do
don't
in that
care.
moment? What do you mean? He was lost?
You could just kind of see that he was not used to. He did not expect that, and he was not used to it up until that point.
Yeah.
If you remember when that Rogan thing came out, like
Uh-huh.
he was a very, very popular person.
Oh
after that.
yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
He
I have
was.
an Occupy
He was
Mars
hailed
shirt
as-
somewhere,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he was talking about flamethrowers,
Right.
And,
yeah. Whenever exactly.
and cool
the
stuff,
Boring
you know what I
Company and all
mean?
that. Yeah, it
But
was
now
cool
stuff.
he's definitely more into the realm of politics.
Yeah, he
and
is,
that is going to upset at least half of the
That's
country
right.
at most
That's
given
right.
time. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
that's right.
And I don't think that he
Dang.
really expected that, but I think once it
Yeah.
happened, he was like, "Well, I'm leaning into
That's
it."
right.
You know what I mean? Which is fine. You know,
Yeah,
it's his
that's
prerogative.
probably
He's
his
got
best thing
money.
he could have done. Because if he would have kind of looked like a wuss, dude. If he would have went the other way with it, you know
My
what I mean?
thing with like Twitter or whatever, people complain about Twitter for a lot of reasons. I don't think that it functions as well as it used to function.
How
That's
come?
my own thing.
What do you
like
mean?
a lot of
Like
people,
like with the
so,
interface or
so
like-
back in the day, people would say that Twitter, the problem with like the Jack Dorsey ran Twitter
Uh-huh.
was that it was silencing conservative voices in favor of liberal voices.
yeah.
And there's a lot of people who would say the opposite now.
Now, right.
But my problem is that he's incentivized engagement, which means that someone will jump on there and say something absolutely outlandish just in order to get people to comment and be like, rah, 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 rabble, rabble, rabble. And then that
Yeah.
way they can catch a check off of it because it counts as engagement. So there's a lot
Very
of what's called
true.
Oh,
engagement farming,
interesting.
and that's annoying. And then
That's
also,
good. I haven't heard.
it's
I haven't
really
heard
a lot
about
harder
that.
to have a good
Drama.
conversation now. Somebody,
Oh my God,
almost
that's
anything
good,
somebody
dude.
posts, there's like porn bots that have like, he was supposed to be getting rid of the bots. That was like his
Yeah,
big thing.
okay, yeah.
They're I mean, and
What?
bro, like you can go to any post and it'll just be like nothing but girls telling you to check out their OnlyFans, which by the way,
yeah.
more power to them.
Yeah.
Like make your money, shorty. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. Of
They can
course.
be nude.
But like I don't get it. Yeah, like that's
Really?
the other.
on
Shut
Twitter
up.
That's
only.
very uncensored. Now,
Sorry, but on Twitter.
what was that website?
On Twitter.
No,
only.
Twitter.com or what?
What
Did we
I,
just
what,
put
I,
X?
what I found interesting about Twitter,
www.
I have a Twitter, and I started using it more when I started working for the local news outlet I worked for. I'd use it quite a bit, and I hadn't been on it in years. And what was interesting to me, Elon had just taken over not long ago when I was using it, and I was really fascinated with how different it was from the way it used to be, just in terms of the videos that were on it, the way that the interface was now. It was more similar to like a combination of Instagram and Facebook, maybe. I don't know. It was content driven with words, but it also a lot more videos, a lot more imagery. You know what I mean?
And I also feel like on the so like back in the day, I'd go on there and I felt like I could get like a pretty good pulse on what people were talking about. And now it's really, the algorithms are really trained to feed you what you want to see.
Yeah, that's a
The
really
AI.
good point.
That kind
listening.
of, yeah, like
That's
like
why Twitter was good back
like
then.
whenever
Yeah.
Drake and Kendrick Lamar were going back and forth, that's all my timeline was, to the point to where like I was like, this is so bizarre and like it's like exhausting.
Dang,
and,
that sucks,
like
man.
you
Yeah.
almost like have to mute certain words to like drop it. You know what I mean? Like once the engagement goes, they push that.
Yeah.
Or go into incognito mode.
It's just very different, man. I'm not saying that. Listen.
That sucks,
Also,
man.
there's like people buy the $8 check mark. Maybe their experience is better than that. Maybe
the
they're
$8
not.
check mark.
What is
Yeah,
that?
it
I've never
sells.
$8?
You know the blue.
Yeah.
The blue check
to be
mark.
official or whatever?
Yeah,
Like,
that's not a thing anymore. Now they
It's
just
not?
sell it for $8 a month.
why?
For-
just
what
on
do- what do
Twitter?
He
you
said it
get?
was gonna help. You get to be. I don't know. I don't.
It's like your
I
official.
never was a
You
Twitter.
every time you try to say anything, someone's gonna comment and be like, "Shut up, loser! You pay for an $8 check." That's what I see.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because
Yeah.
it says whether or
Or
not
check
you
mark.
got it for
Oh, it
being
does?
verified or whether or not you paid for it. And people just go in there and start
That's
roasting. Nobody
hilarious.
takes anything
Yeah.
those people say seriously. My point
Yeah.
is, though, is that their user experience might be different.
Yeah.
When I'm dealing with the bots and things like that and all this engagement farming and like the
Yeah.
algorithm throwing things down my throat, like I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
need to see an entire day's worth of people talking about Drake and Kendrick. There's other things going on. But it
Exactly,
doesn't
dude.
permeate as much as it
Yeah,
used to.
that's sad, man.
So
Because I
I-
don't see it getting any better.
It's
going
just the
other way.
algorithms working harder to make it tailored to you.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
And
it,
it'll
it hears you.
So that whenever the robots come to take over,
I
you
know.
will,
They'll
grab
know
your oil
exactly-
can
Yeah.
and get to work.
I
You
know,
know what I mean?
dude. Yeah,
Go
they'll know
out with the
exactly what
whimper.
you like, what you don't like. How to make you work. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like,
yeah.
but like all of those social media, and like we
Whoa,
talked
yeah.
about TikTok. Like, that's like a whole. There's people who exist only on TikTok that don't exist on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah,
I
right.
think didn't we
I know.
talk a little bit about Facebook and how important it is to this platform
That's right, yeah.
because it's such a localized
Yep.
thing, and this is Facebook serves families and small
That's right.
communities.
It
love
does.
Instagram
Yeah.
and Twitter are much more like worldwide.
That's
you
right,
know?
exactly.
And
And
then
a younger
TikTok is
audience.
wild. TikTok is
What
more like
about
younger, I
YouTube?
think.
How do you feel about YouTube? What's that?
YouTube
And
is all encompassing. It's so great.
I
It
think
is
it's
right. I feel
awesome.
like
I
it's
think
the
it-
best platform.
Oh yeah.
It
in
brings
so
it
many
all
ways.
together. Like you can't just
Yeah.
have a YouTube. You have to have like a Facebook.
It does seem that way too. Yeah.
Or an Instagram.
I don't know if that's
and
true,
a
but
YouTube. I feel.
I spend a lot of time on YouTube.
well, it's
I do
it's primarily
too, but
male
I find
driven.
them-
YouTube's very high male audience.
Really, I didn't know that.
Very.
I
It's
Google
almost
that.
the opposite of Facebook. Is like mine is like 75-25 female to male on Facebook, and then YouTube's
Wonder
almost
why
the
that
exact
is.
opposite.
But
No,
it's kinda-
but
it's
what's
kinda
funny is
changed.
now that she's come on, that's hilarious. Like the men are starting, there's more men. Like, it's
skewed,
hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
The demos are always fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I mean, I totally get that, dude. Like, I mean, especially if you get into like, in the last few years, and it's kind of died out now, but like the red pill side of YouTube was really prevalent. People
What's
were making
that?
a lot of money.
The red pill side. What's that?
It comes from a Matrix thing.
Yeah, I
but
know that, red
I
pill,
don't
blue
know.
pill,
I don't
but-
want to get into that because
Okay.
that's just going to upset people. But
But really, there's a thing on YouTube about that.
it's
about,
not like that. It's about
Mr.
Red
Beast?
Pill
Is that
is
what you're
like
talking
no.
Like
Red
you
Pill
got-
is like. Have you ever heard of like a Fresh and Fit or anybody like that or
No.
like the Rational Male or no?
No.
Red Pill is like a. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it to you.
Yeah.
But it's basically like people who believe in, I guess, what you consider traditional roles for men and women.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Like
All right.
conservatives
So like
and-
the man goes out and makes the money,
Right.
and the woman is, more
Cooking and
subservient.
doing- Yeah,
and
Yeah.
births
Old
the
school.
children.
Okay.
And one of the staples of it, for some reason, is that the man can have numerous partners, but the woman can only
Really?
have one. And
whatever.
Okay.
That is wrong.
well, I'm not here to debate it. I
Yeah.
don't
Isn't
believe
that
it.
like
Yeah.
My,
polygamy?
my
No, just
point
kidding.
was is that it it's a realm of YouTube that really blew up over a few years.
The red pill?
The red pill community.
Oh, it did?
But a
Yeah.
lot of them have gotten banned, and so they've gone to Rumble and Kick, and that's why those are like small YouTubes. They're like free speech YouTubes, and that's why they've
Cool,
grown up
goodness.
some. And what I was saying is that when you see something like that really blow up, you kind of think like, yeah, well, it must be pretty male driven.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
Like Kevin Samuels would be a good example. He passed away, but yeah, I mean, this is like the dark recesses of YouTube.
Oh, interesting.
And
Yeah.
you've heard of Andrew Tate?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so he's
Okay.
what
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
makes
he's
sense.
not necessarily that, but he is like what a lot of people would point to as
I see.
the pinnacle of that.
What about Jordan Peterson?
He's definitely adjacent to that,
Okay, yeah.
although not
Gotcha.
that, but
Right, yeah.
adjacent
Okay,
to that.
okay.
I guess.
Yeah, I feel you.
So,
Yeah.
and then there's the opposite side
Yeah.
of it. There's like the blue pill, and then there's also something called the black pill.
What's the black pill?
I don't know. I think
Dang
that
it.
I think that
Yeah.
black
We
pill
gotta
is like
do this
basically
stuff.
saying like nothing matters, and
Oh,
I
it's like
think
nihilist one of the-
nihilism,
yeah.
which is where I tend to fall because
No,
it's all
you
a
don't.
simulation. If we really flush out most topics, it
Yeah.
goes and and you get to that point. Here's my thing, Matt. You've known me for a long time, and
Yeah.
you know that I've had a lot of friends who aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
and so I live every day as if it's very much my last. So that's why when you
Dang.
ask me like, hey, do you think about what do you want to do? Like, hey man, I'm just happy to be here today because a lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
dude.
love that.
And
Yeah.
and that can kind of come off as a bit of a nihilistic view
Right.
to some people. If
Yeah.
I'm not in the best of moods, the way I describe that might seem nihilistic.
I see. Yeah.
Like if my thinking is that all we have is this moment, right?
Right.
Then this moment matters.
Yeah.
And that one doesn't, and this one doesn't, right?
That's
so
right.
this
I
is
mean,
the
love
one.
that.
That's
Because
how
that
we should
one's
live
not
life.
promised and that one's gone,
Yeah.
right? So like
All
that
life
can be
is a
considered.
string of nows, right? I
Yeah,
love
but that can be
That's
considered a little
Eckhart Tolle.
nihilistic to some people.
Yeah,
And
but
have
it's
you
the
heard-
opposite, really.
Have you heard of Tim McGraw's "Live Like You're Dying"?
Yeah.
I know you
that
don't like
song, yeah.
country, but
No, but I mean I know
kind
the
of something
phrase.
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you should
Yeah, I
listen to
mean,
that
there's,
song.
I
It's good.
feel like there's, I feel like that's
I like that.
might be a little bit morbid, right?
Why?
We'll live like you're dying.
Oh,
you know?
No, he's like, I went skydiving.
But like,
Yeah,
I totally.
we know the-
and
yeah.
and that one movie.
Here's like a better way to. Here's not a better way, but here's another way to kind of put that into perspective. Like, when the pandemic happened, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And everything like shut down, and we saw like how bleak things can be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kind of makes you realize, like, hey man, tomorrow they could. I mean,
It really did make you realize that. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
we
I
both
go
were
to a lot more
hospitalized over
yeah,
concerts.
when I got it, I
Yeah.
thought I was like,
Oh, for
It was
real?
scary, man. Yeah.
Well, I'm like an asthmatic, and like I said, my wife was pregnant, and I'm also overweight, so it
Dude,
was
yeah.
stressful times.
Oh,
But we
yeah.
made it through pretty unscathed, man.
Yeah.
The wife being pregnant during it was pretty rough.
Oh yeah, that's scary.
Like all of a sudden, the doctors were like, "Listen, he can't come anymore, and your appointments have been cut down, and also we have no idea how this can affect you or your baby. So good luck." They didn't
for real.
liability
Yeah.
rise. They can't say much
Right.
in that moment, right? So,
Yep.
but I forgot what I was going to say about that. So when it, like after that, like I started, I make an effort to go to like a lot more live concerts and stuff. Like for me, that was the thing
Yeah.
I missed a lot.
Yeah.
Was Mavericks games. Go
Uh-huh.
Mavs, man.
Heck yeah.
They're
Are they
probably
playing?
playing to get into
Yeah.
the finals
Yeah.
right,
Right now,
bro.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
the stars.
so yeah, go Stars too, man. But yeah, so I started going to a lot more Mavericks games, and I started going to a lot more
Concerts,
concerts
yeah. I
because
did too
those
with
are
the
two things that I
concerts.
missed a lot.
You really enjoyed it.
And like in that moment of 2020, there was like times where I'd be like, "Are we ever
I know,
gonna
right?
get to
Get
go
it
to a
out
concert
again.
again?"
That's what I would think too.
Like I remember
yeah.
when they were like originally coming out with like these mock-up designs of like pods people would be in at concerts.
Oh yeah, there
When
was
they were
one.
trying, because they're
Even
trying
sports
desperately
events.
to open these things
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah.
So there was like, okay, you spend like this much money and you have like basically like a domed like table or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's
dude,
that's not
wow.
a live music experience for me. Like that's
Yeah.
a nightmare. You know what I mean? Like
is, yeah.
that
For
you
real.
might as well plug the pod into the Matrix.
I
or-
know, dude. Yeah.
And I'm not like super like anti this or pro that or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm just saying like the way I thought about it at that time was like, man, if they ever start having live music again, I'm gonna catch every band, and that's
Right,
why
yeah.
I'm not really listening to a lot of Slipknot, But there was a time in my life where I really did, and I never got to see him. So if they're going to go on tour and they're with a drummer that I love
heck
now,
yeah.
I'm going to go see
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
It's like $34 for lawn tickets. I'll go to concerts by myself if my wife can't make it.
Oh, dude.
I'll send her if I can't make it.
I feel the same way.
Go
yeah.
That's what I miss the most about the city.
That's
bet.
one of the reasons I didn't work out there is because like there was too much to do, and I could always find something to do,
interesting.
and so like there was no way for me to hold on to money. I wasn't responsible.
I'd probably be that way too.
It's rough, bro.
Yeah.
Like when there's like because you get the FOMO.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like man, so and so's playing at Club Blue. I'm going. You know what I mean? Like I'll scrape every penny together. We'll eat for a couple days. It'll be fine. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Especially because rock stars tend to have it, and musicians they have a tendency to die as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like like
it sucks, man.
So I try to go and do all the fun stuff that I can and enjoy it all. While you're here, I guess that some people think that that's kind of a nihilistic approach to things. It sounds more positive, right?
Yeah, dude,
But,
I think so.
The thing is like I just, I've experienced enough loss to understand that like you got to live vicariously for the ones that aren't here. Yeah. And if something were to happen and I wasn't here tomorrow, I sure would hope that people would be like, man, he sure did get to do a lot of the fun stuff he wanted to do.
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like he saw this one and this one and this one, and he went and did that and he did that.
When that happens, dude, you don't have to stress because here's how I look at it. Like you wake up, you die, and then you take your headset off and you're in a simulation. So you just put another quarter in. You have another human life. Here
another quarter. Yeah. You think it costs a quarter? This entire simulation?
A future,
dude,
whatever.
Bro, I don't know. I'm going to tell you this, man. It costs way more than a quarter.
So?
Yeah,
dude,
bro.
maybe they're like only certain. Oh, shoot. Are you all right? Maybe there are only certain like elites that get to experience the human experience like machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of other people that don't even get to experience.
Well, I mean, if you take
think about that stuff.
If you take the Matrix side of it, right? They're using us as batteries,
right? Exactly.
So that's the trade-off.
That's right. Yeah,
like they'll put us in this thing where it's not a post-apocalyptic hell.
Yeah,
and
we get a pleasant experience,
feed the machines,
and we're feeding them with
we'll feed the
exactly.
The
Matrix.
We're farming all of our energy and all of it. Yeah.
True.
Have you seen the Matrix?
No, I've never seen.
Well, just to be really very clear, like just so you know, what we're saying is that some of the smartest people in the world say that it is probable that that's what we're in right now.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's really not that crazy. It's probably reality.
It is. It's sad.
I mean? But it's just scary to think of.
No,
that,
it can be scary.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. I get it. Yeah.
But like, so there's also this famous part in the Matrix with Joe Pantoliano, who plays one of my favorite Sopranos characters too. Right?
Wait, who is that?
Joe Pantoliano.
What character is he in the
Matrix? He plays
Matrix?
Ralph Cifaretto.
Who is that in the Matrix?
No, I'm sorry. He plays Ralph Cifaretto in The Sopranos.
Oh, I was
in
like,
the
wait,
Matrix,
what?
he plays. I think his name is Cyrus or something like that. Cypher or something like that.
Yeah, it's
and he's the one that wants to go back in.
Yeah. So he's
spoiler alert. But the point is that reality sucks.
He's the one who's sitting with the
they
guy
wear
at the table,
ratty,
and he's like,
ratty clothes.
Yeah.
They eat like fake food.
Right.
They're like hiding from robots. They can't go outside and
I
breathe
want
air.
to see this movie.
And the Matrix is what
It's
we're
so bizarre.
It's so good.
We must be in the Matrix now because we're talking to someone who's never seen the Matrix. Like that is the proof that the simulation is broken.
Right?
That is insane.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, damn, that's funny.
But yeah, man, and like so like the idea is that like it might be better to be in the simulation.
Right, that's right. It might be way better. Like reality might be horrible.
You're right.
what I mean?
When you think about it.
I mean, have you ever seen Ready Player One?
Dude,
that's another really great simulation
heard of it.
film.
And I've been told so many times to watch that.
That's probably I think if
I need to watch that.
I think that one is. I mean, listen, all of them are far fetched to an extent.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood, right? But that one it kind of is more like a video game aspect.
I mean,
with the rise of virtual reality and stuff, it's not hard to see that
That's
one.
right. I wanna
Surrogate,
watch it so
the movie
bad.
with Bruce
I love
Willis.
that movie, dude. Yeah.
Man, dude, like I
love the Mandela. Have you ever looked into the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
I love that too. There's a movie that was pretty good
Bruce
too.
Willis a lot.
I do too.
I miss him.
Yeah, like
I
really
He was great, man.
kind of. I mean, he's not dead, but I mean, like he's not well, and it's really sad,
was
man.
great.
I hate that for him because
I
he
do
was a big part of
too.
my childhood. Too.
Yeah, I know.
More so than I realized until I
know.
started seeing footage of him come out.
Me
Another one.
too.
This is a weird one, but You know the comedian Sinbad?
Oh yeah,
Oh
of
my
course.
gosh.
That's
I
one of
love
my
that guy
favorite
so
Mandela
much.
effects. You know that one?
Oh, the genie movie?
Yeah. What about him though?
Well, he had like a horrible stroke, and he just now is getting to where he can
Oh
like
my
talk
God, I
pretty
didn't even
good and
know that,
stuff. Yeah,
dude.
he was just at the Netflix as a joke comedy fest and like accepted an award on stage, and it was really like warmed my heart to watch him.
So he's
talk.
a lot better?
No, he's still in a wheelchair, and he's still
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
stroked out. I don't know what to say. I don't know how you say that.
Bad- no, for
He's
real,
not.
bad
No, he's not.
stroke.
No.
Yeah.
But he's better than he was, right?
Yeah.
It's been a long, hard road. I don't think they thought he would ever talk again. I think
Yeah.
he walked to the stage.
Whoa,
and I
okay.
don't think they thought that was ever going to happen
And
again.
he talked?
Yeah, he talked.
That's
but
cool.
He talks out the side of his mouth
Yeah.
a bit or whatever. He lost, I guess, one of his sides.
Yeah.
Anyways, like that's such a like a random person, But
I know.
he means a lot
It
to me,
affects
man.
you,
His
right? Yeah.
stand-up comedy, I have like it on
Right.
cassette tape.
Heck yeah. Oh, really?
With his
That's
windbag
awesome.
pants and stuff.
Yeah,
man.
Oh
dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I love him, but
Yeah.
I don't remember how we got on the subject of people that are in wheelchair.
I
Oh,
don't
Bruce
know.
Willis. So, like
Yeah,
in
Bruce
that
Willis.
one,
Yeah.
the whole idea is that they're in like they go into a simulation. Well, they go into like a simulation and control like an avatar that goes out in the world.
Like
And
a
the
better
reason why-
looking, like healthier, younger version of themselves.
But
and they're in these like
Like
pods.
vampires.
No.
kind of. But
Well, you know what I'm talking about?
Like
with
their
that
avatars
movie?
being vampires?
Well,
what are you talking about? Twilight?
yes.
Yo.
How like they're like perfect.
Well, kind of, yeah. In
Come
that
on,
sense.
I'm
Hey,
yeah.
trying to
a
like.
woman's gonna get the Twilight eventually. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
This
No,
is the
but
skin
in a
of a
sense,
killer,
Turn
Bella.
all, like they're like
In a sense, yeah, like
Beautiful.
they're perfect
So
the way
it
they
would be
want to
like,
look.
so
ideally,
if you watch vampire movies over the years, there's always that one character who's a human that wants to be a vampire because they want to
Yeah.
be fitter and
That's
better
right.
and more attractive and more
Yeah.
alluring and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
and
that.
never die,
He's
immortality.
Guillermo in What We Do in the Shadows. Y'all watch
Guillermo.
that? You watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
What
What
Oh,
is
you
that?
gotta watch that. It's
What
a
is it?
comedy about vampires.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's on
I-
FX. It's fantastic.
Oh,
It's great.
cool. All right.
But
Yeah.
on the Bruce Willis side, like the thing about surrogates that I find interesting about that movie is that like it's because of like what's it mean? What's the word I'm looking for? It's because of hypochondria.
Oh yeah, they were
don't-
so afraid of
They don't want to people like
get
there's too
sick
many
and-
viruses
yeah.
and
Yes.
people and
Yeah,
the health
I
care's
know.
down.
have
I
they
their
don't
real
want to get
body
sick.
out in the world. Yeah.
So they like make these like
They're
and that's
always
and
sick.
I as soon as like the pandemic hit, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, dude.
Bruce told us, man.
Yeah,
Here's-
yeah. That's a good
Right?
movie though, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a
good.
one.
It's kind of slept on. I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
people really know much about it
That's a
or
good
whatever,
one.
but it's a slept on one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my point is that they've definitely done this like simulation
Right.
thing over and over and over and
Oh,
over and
yeah.
over again.
So many
Matrix is a
times.
really prolific one,
It
and
is.
it probably is kind of the one that pops it off.
Yeah,
But
it's
I mean,
a great example.
even though we don't see the AI in like Terminator, that is
Yeah.
what Skynet is.
That's true, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
AI
You're right.
Yep.
that that John Connor creates that ends up going self-aware and
Yep.
within moments realizing that they need to destroy the human race, and
Yep.
that's where Judgment Day comes from. And then
Yep.
we got to send Arnold back to stop
I
it,
know.
and da 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 da. You
Yep.
know, I mean, it is
He-
what it
hey,
is,
did you know
bro.
what I heard the other day from Arnold? I didn't know this. You might know this. He was being interviewed by, I forget the guy's name, but he does interviews with all kinds of people. He's like I forget the guy's name, but he asked him. He said, "What was the scene?" He's talking to Arnold. He said, "You wanted the Terminator to get drunk," and Arnold said, "Yeah." And I talked to James Cameron.
Yeah,
he
he definitely
he said
calls
I
him
had
Jim.
this. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He said I talked to Jim and I said it would be funny if the Terminator, because he said I was watching E.T. and there was this really enduring scene, where the alien he pulls something out of the fridge and he gets drunk and it's very enduring, it's very funny. He said, what if the Terminator, like the robot, I get a little drunk, and he said James Cameron like looked around, he like took him to the side and he's like,
It's a horrible idea.
listen, this is a robot, first of all. Robots don't get drunk. And then he like explained to him like how bad that would be, and so he's like, okay, I get it.
Which I feel like he definitely drinks a beer in the most recent
Does
one.
he really?
Yeah.
I bet he
he's
did
like-
that because he was like, I wanted to do that
He's
damn
living
scene.
like a pseudo-human life or
David.
Yeah.
whatever, Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can make whatever rules you want, I guess, about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like,
For sure, yeah.
Bender from Futurama drinks.
Dude, I love Futurama. Yeah, he does.
Speaking
yeah.
of which, the guy that does his voice,
Yeah.
John DiMaggio, I believe,
Yeah.
prolific voice actor.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he's in so much stuff that you wouldn't even know. There's a movie
Wow.
called can't remember what it's called, but it was on Netflix. It was a documentary, and it's just about voice actors. And he's kind of the crux of that movie.
What's his name again?
I think it's John DiMaggio.
John DiMaggio?
Yeah,
Okay,
he also very famously does the. There's a game called Gears of War that's really popular.
For sure.
I think he's the main character
I love
of that.
Gears of War, yeah.
And and it follows him, but it follows a lot of voice actors.
Cool,
and this is, like
dude.
I said, it might be a little bit obsolete right now because times have changed.
Yeah.
People are working from home and have their own studios, and then also, you know, like I said, like eventually you could probably just computer do it. You know, I see crazy stuff. Like the deep fake style, like for even stupid stuff. Like I'll go on Reddit for like something like, you know, a podcast thing, and they'll have like hosts saying, and it looks off, you can tell, but I mean, how much longer till you can't, right?
I know.
The Mandalorian brought back freaking Luke Skywalker when he was like sexy Luke.
I know, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Like sexy Mark Hamill.
I know.
The guy hasn't been sexy since the premiere.
I know,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Dude, that's crazy.
It all
it's
goes
not
back
be
to
much
Star
longer.
Wars and sci-fi. I'm not that much of a nerd, I promise you. We could have easily started
I'm not
talking
saying that
about
either.
another subject, and I would have nerded out on that.
Yeah.
You know? But I am a nerd.
I love it. It's very fascinating.
I'm very much a nerd, but I don't say that pejoratively.
Yeah.
Like nerds, we run things.
Yeah, I know, right?
We make the
It's
money
not a
and
bad
we spend
thing,
the
yeah,
money. And
exactly.
like, we're the ones who, you know, run things.
Exactly,
and so
dude.
it is what, not
I
me
love it.
specifically.
Yeah.
I ain't
But
running
nerds
nothing.
do,
But
yeah.
yeah, like, you
The
know.
more you know.
And also, like,
Yeah.
we're the ones that get fed, you know, these days.
Yeah.
You're right.
Like like stuff is made to, like I said earlier.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
have the buying power.
That's right, dude.
So that's why,
exactly right.
you
Like,
know,
for real.
that's why Marvel
Yeah.
is what it is now.
I know. Yeah.
You know, people really hate on, like, because, like, you know, it's gone downhill a lot since, like, Endgame and stuff. People hate on Marvel. People hate on Disney because they brought up Marvel, and they brought up Alien, and they brought up Predator, and they brought up blah, 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 and they brought up Star Wars. But I'm someone who gets to turn on, and even if it's mediocre, I get to watch like a new Star Wars 4 times a year. Like it might be a series, it might be a cartoon, or it might be a short. Same with Marvel.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's going to be what happens with Alien because they own that now, and I appreciate that because, like I said,
that's
even though I'm someone who walks between both worlds.
Yeah.
I'm like one of those vampires from that damn
I know.
Twilight movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love Twilight.
I appreciate the convenience. I understand the negative aspect of it.
Yeah.
I know that they're just feeding us garbage and to keep us like
Right. Recycling
satiated
shit.
and placated
Yeah.
and to keep on having us spin and not think
That's
about
right.
the real
Making
problems.
us more and more comfortable.
But I
yeah.
also enjoy it.
Yeah, I do too. That's the thing. And that's what they're doing
It's
on
like
purpose.
Joe Pantoliano in The Matrix when he said, you know, I know this steak
That's
isn't
right.
real,
That's what he said, but ignorance
damn,
is
it's
bliss.
delicious. Yeah,
that's right. He's like, I don't care. I want ignorance is bliss. Essentially, he's like, I know this is all fake. I know it's a simulation. But he said, I would rather take this than the horrible reality.
Right.
I'd rather take this fake, not knowing the difference.
Let's just break it down for you. So it starts out, there's this guy, he's asleep on a computer. No, I'm just
God, that would be a while.
Just run down it all.
Like, oh my.
So then part 2 goes a little bit off the rails when they
It'd be
make
a
it to
while.
Zion. And
That'd be hilarious. Speaking of, we got to get out of here. We do. Your mom's texting. So.
Be quiet. My mom is.
Yeah. But dude, thank you for coming on, man. This was awesome. This was fun.
it was a pleasure.
fun.
I'm sorry it was all over the place.
No, it was great,
No,
dude.
it was so
This sounds-
fun.
It's fun,
You
dude.
know, like
Very
a lot of the
interesting.
stuff that you've done has been like a lot of the stuff you've done has been very pointed, like, you know, the drag
Right,
one that
yeah.
you just did, or
Yeah.
like, you know, about addiction, or
Yeah.
like with Logan about relationships. And
Yeah.
so I felt kind of weird, but at the same time, I was like, this might be fun for him to
It
just kind of
is.
chop it up and
Yeah.
not have to be so
Yes.
much like it.
That's
you know,
right.
And it's important to like have. I think when you're doing this, that it's important to have like a mixture. Like you
Yeah,
have your
I do
stuff
too.
that's pointed, and this is our guest, and he's here to talk about this.
Yeah, you're right.
But occasionally, bro, just
Yeah.
bring some of your homies on and chop
I
it
think
up
you're
about
absolutely
everything.
right, dude. That's
Yeah.
good advice.
People like to hear things that make it feel like they're in the room hanging out with people. That's what I listen to.
Yes.
Like I might listen to people that are debating a very specific topic, and then I might the next day not want to do that, and I might just listen to some people that are like hanging out talking about whatever on like podcasts because I listen to a lot of.
Well, that's it, guys.
So
Thank you for watching. This is the Matt Contreras Report. I'm Matt. This is Janae. This is Corey. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys.